It's known as the World Center of Speed. Win here, and you'll engrave your name with some of the greatest in racing. Lose here, and you'll be nothing but a memory, hoping to make it again next year. From a field of over 70 drivers, we have whittled it down to the 43 of the best in iRacing, all racing for pride, all racing for money, and hoping to call themselves champion at the end of 160 laps. This is ABN Esports coverage of the Winstel 400 live on Twitch. Good evening, everybody. My name is Joe Cortez, joined by the boss, Carmen, Sienna. We are ready to go racing here at Daytona International Speedway and get back one more time for the 12th edition of the Winstel 400.
It's a phenomenal weekend. For those that have joined us all weekend long, you've seen different perspectives, different opportunities present itself. This is what it's all about. It's come down to this. Final practice underway now, and we're seeing these drivers do it so many times they've done before, with more emphasis now, and that's warm up, shake off the goosebumps, and get ready for the race of their lives.
Tonight, the odds are on favorite to have a new champion in the 12-year history of this event, one of the most prestigious events in all of iRacing. Yes, the defending champion, Sean Butler, is going to be in the race tonight, but not any others who have run this race and been successful in this race before. Nate Stewart was the 2023 Winstel 400 runner-up. He is also a favorite to win. Alex Kolonix, the 2021 and 2022 pole sitter, is also going to be racing here tonight. He qualified in pole in one of the duels. And now, in addition to them, we've got a lot of great support now for a lot of drivers making their debut in here. Just going down the list, we've got guys like Jack Mace, who is supported by former iRacing eNASCAR Coke Series champion Mike Conti out there. We've got names like Justin Melillo, who's an NMPA award winner and currently works for iRacing in the marketing and comms department. We've got Brandon Cattell, a 37-time eNASCAR Coke Series starter who's worked with some incredible names. You might recognize him: Cody Bias Racing, Slip Angle Motorsports, Clint Boyer Racing, and then the 99 of Milad Radman joining us as well. YouTuber with over 77,000 followers, qualified on one of the dual polls, hoping to take home the prize tonight. This may be arguably the deepest talent pool we've had in history.
It is a wild list of drivers. It is a who's who of drivers. You talk about the experience here, the amount of NASCAR experience here, not only on the Coke side, but on the collegiate side and the Road to Pro side. So many years of experience. It goes into numerous years of experience when you look at everyone's talent levels in here. And there's even more surprises that did not make the field. Different eNASCAR college drivers that did not make the field across this weekend. This is a who's who of who's made it. You had to race your way in to make it here tonight. And the pressure it's just getting started. For some drivers, they had a last chance qualifier to get in to make the field tonight. And the pressure for them is not stopped. Their heart rate's still about 180, 190. And you're going to see that a lot tonight. You're going to see a lot of high-octane, high-intensity racing all the way through. 3 wide has been the name of the game this weekend. And it's been a lot about bucking the norms that was expected. A lot of drivers came into this field expecting, it's going to be a little bit of the run the high side. It'll be a little bit more single file like what we saw back in 2015 and 2016, the 500 that used to run here. It's been completely opposite. Inside lane's been the lane to be in, and it's all about trying to force the issue to make the outside lane work. But these cars have a little bit of stability in them to allow 3 wide. It's a matter of who's going to be the most aggressive tonight. Who's going to try to force their way forward and really make a name for themselves here tonight, because, as we mentioned, there's a lot of experience here. But this is a new level for a lot of drivers, either making their first start or their second start tonight, trying to make a name for themselves. It's very exciting looking at everything going on tonight. And obviously, it's been wide open coverage all weekend long here on ABN. We get to see a little bit more of that here as we see the normal growing pains in final practice as everyone tries to figure it out here before we see the final attempt at qualifying to set the grid.
A lot of guys and gals out there grateful tonight. It's only virtual sheet metal and engines and not actual materials flying around the track. And as you mentioned, the experience in here, there's still a lot of drivers who have done this race, who have had this experience, looking for their very first win. I'm looking at the 94 of Brendan McGee. He was third in 2015, fourth in 2018, finished fifth in 2022, still looking for his first win. Watch him on the track tonight. Other drivers that have raced in this race, Alex Kolonix, we talked about before, Winstel 2021 and 2022 pole sitter. His best finish, fourth in 2023. Look for him to be a charger tonight. Parker Alexander, the 45 machine you just saw on screen a moment ago. He finished third in 2020. He could absolutely be one of the big guys to make some noise tonight. And of course, Nick Doucette, 15 Winstel Cup Series wins, but has never won the big one, the Winstel 400. His best finish was fifth in 2019. Alec Martinez also finished fifth back in 2022. So these drivers all hungry, looking for their first big win, and what better way to do it than on the biggest stage in all of the Winstel Series.
It's going to be extremely exciting here. We see some drivers leaving pit lane here as we see everyone getting ready to go. It's a bit of the lull before the storm. We talked to a lot of drivers in the countdown to green, and a lot of drivers feel optimistic going into this race. Some drivers just optimistic to have made the show. Some drivers, obviously, you thought about drivers like Brendan McGee, like Emily Howe. They feel like this could be their year. There is so much more in terms of just question marks over different drivers. Obviously, this being their first time, what have they got? It's newer drivers to the fold, meeting the veterans of the series. We talk about experience racing these races. It's still a different level when you have 43 drivers that have all had years upon years upon years of experience. We talk about Brandon Cattell. He was an eNASCAR driver for 2 years, back in 2019 and 2020, and he's just kept racing. He's never stopped. His resume continues to grow even after his time in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola Series. That is the type of driver you're going to be seeing, and you see those drivers more often than not in this field if you look down. There's a lot of drivers in this field that have over 100, 200. There's a couple drivers that have over 300 starts at this style of racing. They know how to get it done, and that is a tall mountain to climb if you're someone like a Bryce Saucier, who is newer to this in his first race here in Winstel. What a mountain for him to look at if he's trying to climb it here tonight.
But again, you mentioned the eNASCAR Coke Series. Its effects and its tendrils are being felt all throughout this race. Again, the 07 of Jack Mace, he has support from Michael Conti, the champion from, I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe 2015, 2014?
Yeah.
The Coke Series champion. He's providing support for Jack Mace, providing setups for him, and hopefully be able to get a win. Last night, the name Kevin King was mentioned, a longtime sim racer, now providing support to another one of our drivers out here as well. So this may not be a Coca-Cola iRacing Series event, but it is very close, as the effects and the experience and the knowledge of past champions, of past racers, and ones hoping to be in that series are all coming together tonight. The whole world is focused right now. The whole iRacing world, I should say, is focused right now on what happens in these next 160 laps.
Yeah, the spotlight has not, for some drivers, has not been brighter than it is tonight. And to kick off 2024 was such an important race. Just sort of speaks volumes how important this race has become over its 12-year history. We talked to Brendan McGee in that Countdown to Green show, and it started off as just a small race with 26 drivers in it. The last 5 years, they've been sending drivers home, and this was the biggest yet, and it continues to get bigger every year. It's so impressive. The magnitude cannot be it cannot be overstated at any point here, as we see drivers once again practicing pit entry. There's going to be so many facets that drivers have to be perfect on tonight, and it's a situation that not many get to be in, even fewer get to be victorious in, but we get to see who's got that tonight. And as you sort of browse through the field, you see drivers like Philip Snipes, who have been in this series for a long time. You look at the 51 of Nick Doucette, who's been in this series for a long time. There's so many drivers here. You look at Logan Crest, the only other former winner of this race. He won the race back in 2019. He's looking to do so again, but he's not been victorious. He's not even been top 3 in this race since he won back almost 6 years ago. So there's a lot on the line for so many drivers. There's so much motivation here tonight, whether it's just the story of making it to the show or being a part of the show and making it in. And then there's some drivers that, unfortunately, you look at Brandon Cruz, Montsavas, you look at drivers that did not make the last chance qualifier. They're out for the first time tonight. There's a lot of storylines all the way throughout here that, unfortunately, it is a part of the competition that comes here for the Winstel 400. But we are seeing more and more as time continues to elapse here. We are now down into the final 4 minutes.
Drivers
going. Go ahead.
Drivers meeting taking place right now. It's called Daytona's been known as a world center of speed for a long time, and as you look at the track, as you tear down the track, it's easy to understand why. This 2.5-mile tri-oval offers 31 degrees of banking in the turns, a whopping 31 degrees, 18 degrees for the tri-oval, and a relatively flat back straight. At 160 laps, each of these drivers is looking at about a fuel window of 32 to 35 laps. So what does that practically mean for them? At minimum, they'll be looking to take 4 to 5 stops, at minimum 4, at maximum 5 or more stops, depending on what happens and how cautions come out on this track. We also know that cautions breed cautions, and at a super speedway, there's no guarantee you're going to get a whole lot of green flag racing depending on how far they want to push the car early. But that being said, I do anticipate that we'll see guys probably gamble more towards 5 or more stops. We're going to see a lot of fuel only. Tires will be a secondary concern here as they run in draft, as they run very well with each other. I think we're going to have a very competitive race that will be won or lost on pit road.
Yeah, it's so important. It doesn't matter what car it is you're in, whether it's these 3,400-pound stock cars or the Champ Car machines we get to see later on this month, or even sports cars. It's so important to have experience and to be well-versed. It's down to the milliseconds is what pit lane is so important for now. We talk about it here. We talk about it in Indianapolis in May all the time. A second on pit lane is a football field on track. That is 300 yards immediately. 2 seconds, the difference, that's a half a mile right there that you've lost to whoever it was you were around before. It is so important to get it right here on pit lane. And with a pit window of 32 to 36 laps, there's going to be a lot of pit stops in this race, a lot of chances for it to go completely wrong. We've already seen it go wrong on different occasions this weekend. You can't have those mistakes anymore. Not if you're trying to win this race. You have to be perfect.
You can't make those mistakes, which is why you mentioned in the pre-show, in the countdown to green, these guys have been testing since December. Thousands of hours have gone into the iRacing sim, perfecting each setup, perfecting and optimizing each stop along the way, and helping drivers to understand what exactly do I need to do in each of these situations? What do I need to do to put together a drive that will win this race? And I guarantee you, each one of these drivers, and this is a beautiful thing about esports, each one of these drivers have put in hundreds, tens of thousands of hours put together to make sure they have the most efficient car, they have the best feeling car, the best driving car throughout this entire race. Only in esports could you be able to do that and optimize down to the smallest fraction to give yourself the best chance of winning. Now, that only goes for you. You can only control so much. You're now at the mercy of the other 42 drivers out there, hoping that they've done the same thing and their machines are ready to go for the big show.
Drivers meeting, the final drivers meeting of the weekend, currently underway. We'll have qualifying here momentarily to set the final starting grid for the Winstel 400 here momentarily. 43 drivers have gone through the gauntlet. Some drivers had a way easier time going through the gauntlet than others. But it's all come down to this. The drivers meeting, the formalities, the pageantry is all here. It's going to be a wonderful sight to behold here. We're going to have a race here that it's going to be it's going to be a moment in history, not only for Winstel, but for us here at ABN. It's so exciting as qualifying gets ready to be underway here. We're going to see where everyone starts tonight. Let's get into qualifying and let's see what these drivers can put on one more time. Cars on track right now. Looking at that is the 03 machine of Logan Kress. On track right now, the 2019 race winner. We'll see what he can do qualifying here. Single lap run. It's one shot qualifying. Logan Kress knows what it's like to be successful here, but he's not been successful in this race for over 5 years. Can he do it tonight? A lot of cars getting on track. Is the staggered formation. There's going to be a lot of activity over these next 5 to 10 minutes. But Logan Kress begins his run now. The run for pole position is underway.
Logan Kress, the 03 machine, one of many, many drivers trying to to get as far front as they can. There are two different ideas, two different strategies when looking at plate racing here at Daytona. You either want to be in the very front to avoid everything and run the race on your own pace, or you want to be in the very, very back and try to avoid all of the chaos that will happen as the race goes on. You never want to be stuck in the middle. That's arguably the worst place to be, as we see the 03 of Logan Kress go through turn number 4 into the tri-oval. And what will his time be officially? Through the tri-oval he goes, and that's a quick lap for him. I didn't get the official time, but I'd say he did pretty good.
46.79, unfortunately already shuffled out of the top 10 effectively. Parker Alexander, who was the first one to qualify in on Friday, has provisional pole. Alex Kalonix and Jack Mace have just leapfrogged. Nate Stewart now leapfrogging as the times begin to shuffle their way forward. Nate Stewart, one of the favorites we talked about here in the pre-race, has just went to the top of the board.
But it's not over till it's over. Several drivers still have to make their qualifying run tonight. Again, this is unlike the Daytona 500. These guys have to qualify upon qualify upon qualify. They ran their initial qualifying run earlier this week. They ran the duels on Saturday night, 3 different duels plus the last chance qualifier, all qualifying each of those. And now, of all of those, this is the one that counts the most. This is the one where you have to be perfect if you want to have a good starting position in the race.
Alec Martinez just went top of the board at 46.76. It's within thousands of a second between Martinez and Nate Stewart. Obviously, several drivers still setting times here. Miles Davis, Quentin Clark looking to set times. Tristan Baker as well. Brennan McGee, who we were talking about, one of the most tenured drivers in Winstel, went 11th fastest. Looking throughout the field here, just kind of seeing who catches my eye of those that have not yet set times. Tristan Baker's on a run now, just now leaving pit lane. And then you have Spencer Owens, Jackson Sims, William Boisvert, and Kyle Hendricks that have yet to set lap times as well. 39 drivers have already set their qualifying time to figure out where they're going to start. Now it's letting the dust settle and figuring out who's going to go where.
It also wouldn't surprise me if you had 2 or 3 drivers intentionally pull a slow lap, not because their car's not capable, but rather because they want to start further and further behind in order to make sure they can avoid some of the chaos in the beginning. There's nothing more chaotic, and I can say this from experience, there is nothing more chaotic than running 3 wide on the 3rd lap of a race at any restrictor plate track. I'm talking Daytona, I'm talking Talladega, I'm even talking iRacing Super Speedway. When you're in the middle there and everything's rattling, the only thing you're thinking about is please do not wreck. Run patiently and run consistently with the rest of the field as we watch. I believe this is Baker now making his run through the field.
Tristan Baker's lap time in the books. Where does it put him? It didn't look quick, and it wasn't quick. 31st fastest for Tristan Baker in the 60 machine here tonight. He will start 31st, and that's going to conclude qualifying here. We're going to have our starting grid here very, very quickly. Qualifying just like that, done and dusted. Alec Martinez, pole position over Nate Stewart. Both of them have been up front in qualifying all weekend long, and now we get to see them on the front row tonight.
Nate Stewart, the 2023 Winstel 400 runner-up, a regular here in the Winstel Series. He's going to be on the front row, which does change a little bit of the dynamic of this race. Get ready for some quality racing. 2 pace laps around the track before we hit the loud pedal and go for 160 here at Daytona International Speedway.
It's a lot of fun. The nerves are up here as a driver. This is sort of where this is where you're in one of two mindsets. Either this is you're on the you're on it 100%, 110%. It's go time all the way through, or this is the calmest you're going to be. And it's so hard to figure it out here because there's some drivers here where every race just feels like that first race for them, and there's so much anxiety. There's so much built into this. And there's some drivers that once they've gone through it once, they're good, they're fine. There is so many different mentalities. You talk about pack racing, everyone's like, well, it's just Daytona. There's so many ways to handle this race. There's so many ways things can go right or go wrong here. It can be alarming if you're new to this by any stretch of the imagination. 43 cars in this field tonight. It is... There's not much more of a magic feeling. This is a hallmark event. Like, no matter where you are, what you're doing, you've got to do this race at least once. And for these 43 drivers, they get to add this to the repertoire. They get to add this to the resume. It's time to get down to business, though. It's been all month long, all leading up to this.
Hang on.
Business is about to pick up, and it's going to be loud tonight.
43 drivers ready to take the green flag as the first racing pace car, the Ford Mustang, makes its way onto the track, and we get ready to start 160 laps. Let's go ahead and take you down the lineup for tonight, starting in the inside of row number 1, the 88 of Alec Martinez, 46.758. Qualifying time will set the pole. Nate Stewart on the outside in position number 2.
Jack Mace and Alex Kolonix sitting in row number 2 there. It's going to be a lot of fun for them here tonight. Milan Radman and Sean Butler, the defending race winner, in row 3. Sean Butler's my pick to win this race. That's sort of my go-to pick as we see further on down the order.
Parker Alexander will start on the inside of row number 4. On the outside of him, the 51 of Nick Doucette. Rounding out your top 10 will be the 81 of Corey Carpenter. Starting on the inside, Brandon Cattell, the former eNASCAR iRacing Coke Series driver, will start position number 10.
A little further down in row 6, 2 of the founding drivers of this event, Brennan McGee and Emily Howe, will make up row 6, 11th to 12th for them. Not bad starting positions for them, but Brennan McGee under the weather. We'll see what he can do here in this race. Andrew Cootie and Rob Collier behind them. For Collier, his second appearance in this race. Andrew Cootie, his third appearance tonight.
Dylan Roberts, the 31 machine, will start the inside of row number 8. On the outside of him, the 11 of Austin Reedy, racing for TJ's Team Foundation, the Pediatric Cancer Foundation. Philip Snipes and Michael Sturgill will round out row number 9, and rounding out row number 10 will be the 03 of Logan Kress. On the outside, the 10 of Kyle Benson.
Kyle Benson made it in there from the last chance qualifier, was the last transfer spot into this race, and paired alongside a former winner of this race. Good place for him to be. Alex Bates won last chance qualifier. He's qualified in row 11, 21st place for him. 22nd for Bryce Saucier, a 2-time ABN Champ Car World Series winner. We'll see what he can do from 22nd on the grid. Kevin McAdams, 23rd, and Ben Baffert in 24th. They round out the top half of this field.
Row number 13 will belong to the 054 of Morpheus Perry. On the outside of him, the iRacing entry, the 53 of Justin Melillo, will start in row number 13. Row number 14 belongs to 50 of Christian Budd. On the outside of him, Jacob Potak will start in the 66 machine, and back in row number 15, it will be the 22 of Jose Solis, and the outside of him, the 8 of Quentin Clark.
Outside the top 30 here, 31st is Tristan Baker. We saw him qualify last there. Jeremy B. Davis in row 16 as well, 32nd for him. Tyler Murray and Andy Trupiano, we saw them in practice together. They'll try to work together to get to the front. They're ahead of Corey Cook and Matthew Molnar, who sit in row 18, the top 36 in this field.
Finishing out the field, and inside row number 19, Bernard Person, 19. Josh Burnett, the 73 on the outside. Row number 20 belongs to Miles Davis and Craig Lautenslager. And the final entry on the field in row number 21, Spencer Owens, William Bosevert, and I believe that rounds out your field. Now check that. Row 22, Kyle Hendricks and Jackson Sims.
Yeah, William Bosevert, I believe, has not actually taken the start here. So we have ended up using an emergency sub, it looks like here. So Jackson Sims will be the last car running in row 22. The lights out in the pace car. It's time to go racing. It's a long race. It's something that a lot of drivers have been reminded in this drivers meeting. You hate hearing it all the time, but it's so true. In order to finish first, you must first finish. And for 43 drivers, that's got to be a sticky note at the top of their car.
A long-running trope as the first racing Ford Mustang pace car goes down pit lane. The field now in control of your pole sitters. Let's get ready to go racing. 160 laps around Daytona International Speedway starts now. Alec Martinez on the inside. On the outside of him, the 45 of Parker Alexander. Neither one having a true advantage as they complete lap 1 here at Daytona. Both working on the front of their lines, trying just to get some heat on their tires and figure each other out. Like two boxers working through their initial rounds. They're just trying to feel out each other, trying to figure out what's going to happen and where people are going to go as we run clean through lap number 1.
You're seeing it's still 2 by 2 most of the way through. This is as you mentioned, the feeling out process. Boxing analogies, land well here in ABN. This is the opening round. This is the opening stanza, the first minute of a fight. A lot of heavyweights in this group right now. Obviously, Alexander and the 88 of Martinez. They had a chance to get on the front row here. Obviously, Parker Alexander, the pole sitter for this race, doing a fantastic job here. Leading the outside lane at the moment. The outside lane showing a little bit of gumption here. This is what we were expecting to see all weekend long. We've not seen it until now, until today. So let's see if that can just develop. That's something that I'm going to keep my eye on here. Does the outside lane work now just because it's a little bit hotter out? Or is it something that it's going to work well even more as the track cools down? Because we will see this race transition into a dusk situation as this race progresses. Still a lot of racing though to go to, but everyone keeping a note on that right now. Where do they want to be now? And does that change over the course of the race?
Oh, I'm sure it will, as right now the 45 of Parker Alexander has no intention of going down to the bottom row and leading that group. Instead, he will let the 4 of Nate Stewart, your runner-up last year, he'll gladly let him push him around, as well as a 96 machine that belongs to Sean Butler. Those 3 are just going to keep running high on that high side as we see another car back there trying to make the third line work, trying to make a little middle line work as another one goes to the bottom up high.
People are immediately not happy about that either, being put in the middle of a 3-wide situation. They do not want to see 3 wide right now. There's so much racing to go. There's so many pit stops in this race. They don't want to see the 3-wide situations that they're seeing right now. Everyone just trying to navigate that and seeing if they can get everyone sort of cleared out of the way of this to prevent the issue from being any worse.
Everybody working as hard as they can, working in line. Nobody wants to tip the apple cart just yet, and you can't blame them for that. Everybody just trying to work together as that low line now looks like a check up there between the 88 and 07 of Jack Mace. We have a new leader down on that low line is the good news, and the bad news is it looks like they're forced to check up, and now the high line, that high freight train, running hard as they have another one jumping up there. I believe that's a 99 of Radman.
Yeah, I have a feeling some drivers are, instead of trail braking here and making that momentum work for them, they're jumping out of the way to avoid making contact, and they're making it a lot more sketchy. All you have to do, keep the foot on the gas and just apply a little bit of brake. And that's what they call a trail brake there. Being able to just sort of apply a little bit of brake pressure without adjusting your throttle at all. Just use a little bit of brake pressure. You have to use both your feet to do this. The drivers that do that well typically keep themselves out of trouble the most here, but you've got to trail brake if you're deep in the pack like that. You don't want to put yourself in the middle 3 wide because not everyone's going to give you the space to come back. And that's going to be a bad situation. It's an easy way to find yourself out of the race early. We are still only 6 laps into this race. You don't want to be in that situation early, especially if it's a very avoidable circumstance, like just trying to avoid losing momentum.
You're absolutely right, as now the bottom line looks to have collapsed out there. The only driver back on that low line is Brandon Cattell, the 80, as we ride along board now with the 4 of, I'm checking that 4 of Cattell. I'm sorry, looks like the 51. We're riding on the 51 of Nick Doucette, actually. Check that. As we run, you can see just how close these guys are running as that low line starts to collapse. They're still pushing hard. They're still trying to keep pace. But unless they get some more ponies down on that freight train, it ain't going to work. The high line's going to be the winner right now.
Inside lane working pretty well at the moment. Obviously, it's still pretty well even. The outside lane's got the momentum on the exit of the corners, and that's what everyone's really focusing on right now. That inside lane, I still think that inside lane is going to be the preferred lane to be in. I think we've seen a lot of that outside lane, everyone figuring it out on the outside lane there. The inside lane is just looking super strong all night long. It seems to be the place where you want to make moves happen, and then you can kind of go and defend once you've gotten clear on that inside lane. No one's super keen on pushing either, so we're not seeing either of these lanes in full strength. That's a very important aspect to this. No one's running full strength here. You see 3 wide further back. That's outside the top 10. That's outside the top 15. Some drivers just trying to make some moves happen. Some drivers already restless here on lap 8 of 160. They're going to have a very long race if they're already restless.
You know, and the problem is, unless you have drivers committed to that middle line can act like a big old vortex. It can actually push you back out of the field if you don't have drivers committed to go with you. Looks like they've got about 5 cars now on that inside lane, maybe trying to pick up some more, trying to convince some people to come up. Yes, they have a full train now in that middle lane. The question is, how many people are going to commit to it, and can they make a run in that chili dog middle vortex? I don't know if it's going to work, but it's an interesting strategy to try on lap number 9.
Hey, there's a train of thought there. It kind of goes with that, trying to figure out what you can and can't do early. While you know not everyone's pushing 100%, figure out how quickly you can make things happen if you can. You figure that some drivers learn that the middle lane just isn't very effective in this 3-wide situation this early on. But right now, you're looking at the 31 of Dylan Roberts, 17-time race winner in the Winstel Cup Series, leaning a little bit close to that 28. We'll talk about that later on in the race. Side drafting is going to be very important. You want to lean on the drivers here. You want to lean on that right side. If you're in the middle, you can lean on the drivers in the inside lane and make it work for them, because that right side is a lot more sensitive aerodynamically than the left. So you're going to see a lot of drivers that know how to do this well. They're going to be able to do that subtly early on and just figure out who's going to be more comfortable to side draft and who isn't. We're seeing a lot of tangoing going on right now, but it takes a lot to tango all the way to the front of the field, and that's exactly what that in-middle lane's done.
That middle lane has worked its way up. Leading that train is Brendan McGee, the 94 machine, the 3-time Winstel Cup Series winner, the 3-time top 5 here in the Winstel 400. Now he wants a piece of the pie. He wants to get himself a shot at that crown early, and he's doing everything he can to lead that middle line to success. The problem is he's got that bottom line still fighting with him. This all plays an advantage of everybody on that high side.
Had a little bit of a sketchy moment there further on in the back. We had an accidental 4-wide situation. Someone just slipped on trying to bump trapped. Ended up, everyone got clear of that situation, but it could have been very disastrous. Everyone realizing they kind of stepped a little bit too far in the exploration boundary there. But everyone has gotten through clearly, still got all 43 cars running on track at the moment. But the first really big hairy moment of the race, accidental 4-wide in the tri-oval there, just a lap ago.
Well, it's been said that discretion is the better part of valor, as it looks like we have a new leader now on the field. It's a low line now coming alive, and and your leader is going to be the number 4 machine. That belongs to Nate Stewart, the runner-up last year. He's going to start leading some laps here at Daytona International Speedway. As I was saying, it takes discretion is the better part of valor. Let's be honest about it. In that middle line, they kind of had that realization moment. If we don't back off, if we don't relax it a little bit, there will be no valor for us. Like you said, in order to finish first you must finish. And now they're starting to realize that. They're starting to put together everything they need to do. I think they've tested what they want to test. Now it's a matter of running in line and simply keeping up with the Joneses.
The conversation point now is going to shift here, because we're 13 laps in, 14 laps now into this race. We're almost halfway through a pit stop cycle. We're almost halfway through a fuel run at the moment, and that's going to be a talking point now. Some drivers have already been like, okay, we're going to go 32 laps all the way through, 32, and just sort of make it happen. Not everyone's in that position now. Some drivers have already changed their mind. They're like, okay, we're going to save fuel here. And you're seeing a lot of shuffling now as you see drivers go 2, 3 wide and shuffle back and forth. Everyone's changed their tune all of a sudden. And hearing the driver chatter, hearing the radio there, it's so interesting seeing who's made that change early and where these drivers are coming from. You see Emily Howe right now working with Parker Alexander in the middle. That middle lane now is completely changed in terms of who's in it now. But people now see that middle lane as being viable to make something happen if they're trying to move forward. The inside lane, a lot of people are trying to save now. So that outside lane, the outside 2 lanes, are about to become a little bit more popular as everyone tries to get sorted through.
The 11 of Austin Reedy was the leader for just a split second. Now it is back to, I believe, that's McGee once again out front leading that high line. Middle line trying to reform once again. But what you're seeing right now is everybody, again, just feeling out what they want to do, where they want to be, and trying to figure out how they want to approach their pit stops. We're going to see pit stops in the next 10 laps or so. This will be, or 15 laps or so. This will be the first of 5 they'll be forced to take. Plus, there's another big conversation that has to go on there. Do you take 2 tires? Do you take 4 tires? Is it a just gas stop this early in the race? A lot of people are trying to figure out what they want to do, but right now, they're figuring out where they want to be and where it makes the most sense for them to play on track.
Everyone's figuring that out as they kind of go along here. The inside lane, they sort of cannibalized what was the middle and the inside lanes now. That 2-car, Alex Kalanick's now leading the inside lane, trying to lead forward here. Brendan McGee's had a little bit of fun being out front here with support from Logan Kress. 2 veterans in their own right. Kress, obviously former race winner of this event. They've been on the outside lane the entire time, and now we're seeing some side drafting going on. That outside lane's moved to the middle.
That outside lane slowly working their way down to the middle as everyone's shuffling position, trying to figure out where they want to be right this second. Also in that group right now, do not discount the 80 of Brandon Cattell. Cattell running on that high side, trying to work, kind of give the guys a push up there as they start making their way up front. That's going to be critical, and here's why. You can't make a pit stop from the high end. You just can't do it. You're going to have to slowly work your way down to the low side and get as much position as you can before you go down pit road. So if you look at the high line right now, yes, I am pushing as hard as I can. I'm trying to keep that middle line behind me, and what I'm trying to do is get the best position I can be in. So when I have to cut down low, I'll be able to come in with the leader, get my service, and come out with the leader at the same time. It's not just who you draft with here at Daytona, it's also who you go in with and who you work with to go out.
Yeah, it's a way more complicated process than I think a lot of people give credit for. As we see 3 wide, once again, 4 rows up near the front. That inside lane is completely withered away. Colonix could not do a lot. He got level with McGee, but once they went 3 wide, being led there by the 80 of Cattell, this driver with a lot of experience at these types of races, that inside lane just completely went away. And now it's Cattell and Howe leading the inside lane over Colonix and Alexander, the pole sitter.
Once again, now is where you start seeing people making deals. Now you have the spotters talking and saying, hey, I'll help you here if you help me there, or I'll run this line if you run that line. We're running inside now with Parker Alexander, that 45 machine, in front of, I don't know who Bump Me Poppy is, but go ahead, bump him if you want. Right now, all the spotters are making deals. They're shaking hands. They're saying, hey, I'll help you if you help me right now, or I'll go in with you if you go in with me. And they're trying to figure out who they can count on right now. Of course, all of these alliances are incredibly temporary. Once we get down to race time, once we get down to 15, 10 laps to go, all the alliances go away. It doesn't matter who your friends were. It doesn't matter who your manufacturer were. Who's on what team. It's all about winning at that point. But right now, it definitely helps to have a friend or a couple to keep you competitive.
Yeah, Alex Colonix, who we were looking at the back of, had a very good message for Parker Alexander. Just push. That was the message for Colonix, and a creative tone there. We were to talk to Alex in the pre-race show, the countdown to green. He felt comfortable, despite the technical issues he'd been dealing with in this race. He felt comfortable. He felt relaxed, and right now he's got that poise. He's got a pair of drivers ahead of him that are very well versed in McGee and Hal, who have moved to the bottom lane. And they're in the position that they want to be, because if they are basically gatekeepers to pit lane at this point, and we're entering that phase of the race already, where if you're gonna be coming down pit lane at some point here, whoa! Huge check up there, cautions out. How did that not become a huge crash? There's a crash further down. That's Mo Perry involved. That was a huge near disaster.
A huge near disaster, but absolutely avoided. Speaks to the skill of all of these drivers as they go through. Very clean setup to start the race. Very clean racing among all the drivers as we go through the race. We'll see if we can go back, take a look at exactly what happened there. The 54 involved, the 054 of Mo Perry involved. I believe a couple of the drivers, the 79 involved, and the 53 of Justin Milillo also involved in that incident. Not terrible amount of damage. Not terrible amount of damage, but enough to definitely hurt them as they go forward.
It all started up front. Emily Howe was pushing McGee going into turn 3 and 4, got McGee loose and right into the 96 of Sean Butler, and that caused the initial checkup that cascades its way down the field. The 31 of Dylan Roberts ends up getting sideways there. Emily Howe gets sideways on the nose of Colonix. And then everyone just trying to avoid the situation here. Mo Perry, you see where he gets involved off the nose of Quentin Clark. And this could have been so much worse than what it was. Into the front end of the 60. Unfortunately, a little bit more damage for him there than it looks like for the 54 of Perry. The 20, really good job locking it up on the spot and not getting hit by Milillo there. The 53, who also came to a pretty good stop all of a sudden.
Pit stops starting now. Let's follow the 94 of Brennan McGee, one of the guys who wants to win this race bad. It'll be left sides for the virtual Goodyears on the 94. Drop it to Jack for the right sides. Yes, it will be full for a full tank of gas for the 94 and 4 brand new tires, as he's going to have a hard stop. He's not going to get out in front of everybody. In fact, I believe the 83 was able to get out first. No, check that. The 53 was able to get out first.
Yeah, this is a wild race here. Obviously, some drivers deciding to just take fuel anyway. This is a situation where I would take 4 on this situation as a driver. You prefer taking 4 because you're on pit lane. the amount of time you lose is negated. If it was under green, it's fuel only all the way. Like, this first stop is fuel only the entire way through. But the fact that some drivers have already decided to just forego taking tires is going to be a very interesting gameplay, because this is a car that now has to rely a little bit more on handling than what it was years prior. At one point, this was a car that was just all grip all the time. It's not that way anymore. It's not that way with the setup. There's a lot of handling reliability that you need to have this car hooked up with, as Corey Cook now leads the way at the front of the field. A really good effort there by Corey Cook. There's 61, very familiar. Seeing McConey set up shop on a 61 car. Where have I seen this one before? For ABN fans that follow. I know Josh Gaiman's watching right now at home. Still at 61 up near the front of the field. But yeah, it's very interesting seeing who's blinked and who hasn't, because that will set the trend for at least the first half of this race.
At least the first half of this race. Good news for those drivers who were involved in that incident, however. Their damage was minimal. You get one fast repair for this entire race. We're nowhere near needing it right now, as we have more cars coming down pit road. I believe that's a 63-year leader is going to come down this time by. He just wanted to get a parade lap in there, I think, and wanted to get some TV time for McConey setup shops. Not a bad thing, as he will take 4 tires and a full tank of virtual Sunoco racing fuel down and away for about 15 seconds on that stop. Good stop for him, as a smattering of other drivers will now come down pit road. You talk about strategy, this is where we're seeing it pay off. This is where we're seeing strategy go in. Let's also follow along now with the 79 of Sims.
Yeah, a lot of communications going on here as we get ready to go back green here. Some drivers coming in for more service. So these drivers that just now pit, they will be at the back of the field now. Very interesting calls there by all of them to try to get some more service in. Jackson Sims topping off with fuel, only taking 4 seconds worth in that stop.
Now back up front, brand new leader Emily Howe will run in position number 1 as they get lined up again to go back to green flag racing next time by. The 83 and the 03 machine. The 03 belonging to Logan Kress, 2019 Winstel 400 champion. One of 2 drivers out here who have the opportunity to call themselves the second repeat winner here tonight. So it'll make some very interesting racing. And I have to watch those guys who drop to the back, because they may have made a smart move. They may have gotten out of the craziness now and are able to slowly just let everything happen in front of them and work their way up. It'll be a very interesting move to see if it pays off.
Yeah, keep an eye on the 96 of Sean Butler. Sitting through right now, both the former race winners in the top 3 at the moment, behind Emily Howe on this restart. Let's see if they work together. They work together a decent amount in practice.
It'll be Emily Howe leading them to the green flag through the tri-oval. We're back to green flag racing here in the Winstel 400. It'll be those 2 drivers side by side as both lines, nobody ducking, nobody moving. The 03 has an advantage with a push from Alex Kolonix.
Outside lane looked a little bit more put together there on that initial restart. But we'll see how they get out of turn number 2. See who gets antsy and who tries to make a move immediately. All the moves on to make that 3 wide have come from the outside lane so far to start everything off. And it happens in the inside lane this time. The 80 of Cattell draws the first move there to make it 3 wide. His teammate Corey Carpenter with him.
Cattell and Carpenter in that middle lane, trying to see if tandem drafting will work for them. Now they've got a third taker on that middle lane, but they're not going anywhere. They are going backwards. Tandem drafting could be part of the deal tonight, but we'll have to see how that all plays out. Tandem's working for the 3 up front. How's the freight trains? How are the freight trains going to form as we continue around Daytona?
Lane working really well right now. It's Howe, Butler, and the 94 McGee that have broken clear. And Pandemonium further behind. It's up front. That's what you want to see. Being able to pull that off right now, perfect. Oh, gotcha.
Let's go ahead and show you the whole breadth of the field right now as the 83 and 96 machine continue to lead. There's another contingency of drivers at the back of the field. You see them being led by, I believe that is the 80 machine, the 80 of Brandon Cattell and company. This is a very check that out. That's a 24 of Spencer Owens is going to be leading that back contingency. Very interesting move for these guys, trying to stay away from the issues and the incidents early, working together to form their own draft away from the field. This could backfire because they could be swept up by the main group early on, or this could be a great strategy to avoid trouble if there's another caution flag. As we've said before many, many times, cautions breed cautions.
Yeah, a lot of these drivers are drivers that came down pit lane to the end of that last caution, that first caution of the race. A lot of these drivers are the ones that are making up this group here, so it seems like a little bit of a coordinated effort. It's just a matter of who they want leading this effort. It looks like we got the 24 that was leading for a little bit, now no longer at the front. It is the 13 of Craig Lautenschlager at the front of the field. Kyle Hendricks behind him, Jackson Sims, Spencer Owens, Rob Collier, Bryce Saucier, Josh Burnett, and Justin Melillo, all in this group now.
One of the chatters in our chat here commented, wouldn't it be crazy if Emily Howe won the race? She'd have to give the money to herself. And all I can say is weirder things have happened in the history of motorsports. Just throwing it out there. But in any event, Howe continues to lead on that high side. She's going to get pushed by the 94 machine. That 94, that I believe, what's that? That is a throwback to Bill Elliott and the McDonald's machine. The Brendan McGee will be pushing them. The 07 also in that mix as well. Jack Mace, don't check out the 03 of Logan Kress, also in that mix as well. And once again, the high side proving to be the place to be if you want to be up front.
Yeah, that lane started as the inside lane, and the top three cars there all decided to work together to move to the outside lane to try to control the pace of this event. But the inside lane is forming again. Less cars in the inside lane, but Logan Kress is taking note of it because he tried to cut it off there out of turn 2. The 64 over just a little bit too put together, and now they're trying to separate. They put the 64 3 wide, but it separated the 80 and 81, who are trying to just move the 64 out of the way. They didn't want to be behind the 64, and now they've split up, and they've allowed that outside lane to become the only lane at the front of the field.
That is Jeremy Davis running that inside line in that unsponsored car. He's going to drop down low and try to get back in pace on the low line. Only two drivers in the middle as the high line still the place to be out there. Also got a little bit of trouble out there.
Phillips, nice. Looks like it's where that started. Oh, Radman involved, the 99. He already had a bad night last night, and it has not gotten better.
The 99 of Milan Radman, one of my favorites to win this race, involved in that one, and that is going to hurt him. He is listing, as we take a look at that incident one more time, starts around the 66 machine of Jacob Potak, and involves a lot of different drivers. The 08, the 60, the 66, you see the 99 get turned around, slammed hard into the wall, and as he tries to recover from that, his car is going to go listing away. So he is going to need to use that quick repair, this only quick repair of the night, and hope nothing else happens to his car.
Tell you what, those drivers further back that separated, they look a lot smarter now, foreshadowing this, because they were able to stay out of it and stay clear of it. Back here, this is looking at Radman. We're going to look forward here where it's 3 wide. Everyone's still trying to sort themselves out here. And it looks like it's Potak just getting right into the back of Snipes there. Yeah, that is rough there. Snipes did a really good job just keeping that car from just shooting back up the track. However, Radman not so fortunate, getting tagged there in that right rear. A lot of cars shooting it down and staking it there on the inside lane. That is rough. That is very rough. And unfortunately, that is part of how this race works deep in the pack like that. trying to change lanes and everyone just checks up all of a sudden, especially when it's 3 wide like that, next to impossible to be able to predict it.
Absolutely impossible. As Ray get ready for pit stops one more time, let's follow along with the 83 of Emily Howe as she comes in to her stall, getting ready for some service. Maybe another 4-tire pit stop. No, this is going to be a 2-tire stop for the 83. They're only taking the left sides down and away. The 83 wants to continue leading this race.
Gonna be able to do a decent job of that. Only car out in front of them is Logan Kress. So Howe will be on the front row here for this restart.
.7 seconds the time on Howe's pit stop, and I think it's a brilliant move right now. Tires are not as important here as it would be at, say, a smaller track or even a speedway size track. Here you can get away with a little bit of chicanery, if you will. And I think right now in this portion of the race, with only 33 laps underneath them, I think it's a great time to reconsider making some pit stops, making some changes, and kind of testing out what you can do before we get to the end of the race.
Yeah, everyone's had a chance now. They've had a couple of cautions to figure things out. 33 laps, which would have been the expected first pit window if it had ran under green the entire time. Let's see here. Logan Kress leading the way. Former race winner, we talked about him trying to get back to victory lane for the second time. He has not been very successful in the last couple of years of this race. And
Carmen, the one thing that's bothering me, that's bugging me right now, is you see a lot of these drivers starting to cut their engines and drifting out here to save fuel. Now, I get it. You want to err more on the 4 pit stop strategy than the 5, but it's a little bit early to start cutting their engines.
It's a very interesting strategy call. It's not one that makes a lot of sense if you're trying to stay out front too, unless you're trying to save fuel so you can stay out front. The only way it makes sense is if everyone's realizing that the fuel window that we were looking at, that 32 to 36 lap window, is actually smaller. That's the only way that it makes sense to me. If you're trying to save fuel now to be up front later, that's the only way it makes sense. I'm not sure what they're seeing because they're not really giving me numbers. Listen to the radio chatter. It's all coded right now in terms of who's saving fuel and who's not at the moment and why they are. But for Emily Howe, I guess there's the anticipation that maybe she's going to be trying to stay out front longer, so it's more imperative for her to save fuel now. But it's very interesting to see that there's already numbers have to be met, and we're 33 laps into a 160-lap race. The strategy game has changed for several people already, because Howe wasn't the only one. It's going to be very interesting to see how that evolves here. It's going to be a good talking point, especially if we go a long amount of time without a caution. Who's going to be in trouble with that?
Just under half a lap to go before we're back to green flag racing. Logan Kress will be your leader. When we go back to green flag racing, on the outside of him will be the 83 of Emily Howe, and a whole lot of drivers now looking for positions, trying to figure out where they were, where they want to be, and ultimately where they are going throughout this race. Lots of position, lots of strategy to be thought out here. And, I mean, personally speaking, if it was me, I'd start working backwards of how much can we do as time goes on. But I think some of these drivers, they've got the old Al Davis mentality. Just win, baby.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting strategy to see what happens here. Obviously, some drivers are saying going to be out front all race long, including the 83 car we saw saving fuel. Pace cars in. To the restart zone we go. Green flag back to the air. Let's see who's got that let's just win mentality.
2 by 2, you see them blur by. It's going to be the 0-3 with the early jump, but the high line has been the place to be, as Howe's now getting a big push here as we go tandem drafting once again. Low line getting fast, but how much longer before the high line catches up?
I'd say give it a couple laps here. You want to figure out everything here, and obviously when you have someone like Nick Doucette move up, you follow. Doucette getting away from the back of the 26 of McAdams. And now McAdams and Kress move to the outside lane. They're going to put Martinez leading the inside lane.
Martinez gets a position, but nowhere to go without those two leading the high side. Once again, proving that the high side right now is the place to be. We're running on board with Stewart right now, who's pushing that 83 of Howe down the straightaway. But again, with more drivers on that high side, with more drivers pushing and creating a bigger wind tunnel, it's going to be very difficult. Oh no, is Stewart going to make an outside run? Stewart's debating it.
It's so hard to make momentum happen here at the front of the field. You lose so much more than you gain trying to make a different lane like that. Especially if you can't guarantee that people are going to go with you. And that's something we've already seen a lot here in the opening stanza of these laps. A lot of drivers already are in this mindset of whatever gets me to the front of the field, whatever gets me to the front. There's not a lot of loyalty going on at the moment right now. No one really wants to stay with people right now. It just, whatever the self-service has been at the front of the field. And that could potentially be a red flag, especially later on in this race. Who do you want to work with? Drivers have long memories. Have very, very long memories. They're going to remember if you put them 3 wide or put them in a situation where they had to fall all the way back here. As Kress moves to the inside lane, McAdams going to shoot the gap and clear himself in front of Martinez to get to the bottom lane as McGee leads the lap.
3 lead changes in 1 lap. That's how chaotic this race is. That's how much it means to each of these drivers out there. They want to be the one to collect checkers, but again, the race isn't won on lap 38. It's run on lap 160 as Logan Kress now back to the front of the field. Everybody now getting a little antsy. They're trying to figure out where they want to go. We're not even a quarter of the way through, and 3 wide racing is back.
You know, I appreciate the fact that they're trying to give us a show like this. For a lot of people, it's dinner time here in the U.S., and it's dinner and a show right now. 3 cars in the middle of the 3-wide situation there, and it's 3 very powerful drivers with Howe, Doucette, and McGee, but they're not together, and it's holding up that inside lane. 3 wides always hold up the inside lane. It's always in the outside's favor whenever you cause those 3-wide situations, and it's the outside lane and the middle lane. The inside lane always suffers the most in these situations right now, and you're seeing that. You're seeing exactly how much those 3 cars on the middle lane held up the entire outside lane. It was like just adding a parachute to Martinez's car and just telling everyone behind, sit still. It's very interesting how that works. And Emily Howe got 3 wide, went to the outside lane, got clear, now back to the bottom, and we'll have help from McGee, Doucette, and Roberts.
Dinner and a show for you, maybe, but I missed out the catering call. When I get to the catering table, there's nothing left. So just a show for me as the 0-3 continues to lead. That's Logan Kress. Again, you could beat. There's only, in the history of the Winstel 400, there's only been 1 repeat winner. We could see a second repeat winner punch their ticket to have their name on that trophy tonight. But the 2, Alex Kolonix and company, making that low side run, they want to play spoiler to Kress's party.
And that's a good line to be a part of, too. You've got Kolonix, you've got Butler, you've got Howe, you've got McGee, you've got Doucette, Roberts, Martinez, Alexander, all in that inside lane right now. It's a very good lane to be in, but it's a lane that's never been consistent. It's not consistent. This is a group of drivers that do not stay down here very long. They get what they want, and they move. And that's so hard to be predicting this early in the race. You don't know who you want to work with because they don't stay here. There's some drivers that are bottom feeders. They will stay on the bottom all race long. It's not the top 5 in the inside lane. It's not them. They will move wherever they need to.
Well, it's just what I said earlier, Carmen. These guys are, you're going to see piracy happen here pretty quickly. Yeah, at the beginning of the race, it's all about how can I help you? You scratch my back, I scratch yours. But now that we're a quarter of the way through the race, the stakes are starting to finalize for some of these drivers. The 2 of Alex Kolonix now leading that low line with a bunch of help behind him. It's no longer about can I help you, can you help me, as you watch them abandon the 2 on the low side. We're on board with the 51 of Nick Doucette. They just left him. They said, see ya, thanks for the lead. We're going to take it from you now. It's going to be piracy all day long. for these drivers. Get ready for some high-quality craziness happening.
Yeah, that was all spearhead by Emily Howe, who got the two of Colonics all the way up to the front. It was ding-dong ditch from there, and it worked out because she knew McGee and Doucette were going to follow her wherever she wanted to go in that 83 machine. It worked out fantastic, and now you have the two of Colonics, who is outside the top 10, not even close to the top 10 at this point, just trying to scavenge whatever he can and try to get back in line.
And Emily Howe looking for her first win here in the Winstel Cup Series. She's had 8 ABN Cup Series race wins, but has never won the big one, nor has she ever won in this series at all. So this could be a major upset, despite the fact that she's one of the favorites to win this race. All these drivers have the same exact setup underneath them, provided by Howe's E83 flying machines shop. So if anyone knows this, the car, it's her. But a lot of these drivers also have a lot of talent behind them, and I think they're just biding their time, waiting for this. Check that, actually, I'm being told she's won in Winstel before. She won last season in Gen 4, but never a championship.
Yeah, she's not been a champion, and she's not won this race. So that's the big thing. This is the one that's been eluding her in her career so far. Right now she's leading the way. Howe knows how to be successful here. She's won at Daytona before. She's won on plate tracks before. But, yeah, this is the big race that's been eluding her so far in her career. She leads the way right now, but you look at the outside lane, you look at Doucette, you look at McGee, you look at Roberts, you look at Alexander. Howe's not the only one that wants a win here tonight in the Winstel 400. There's a lot of drivers that have been in this race for years.
A lot of drivers who have wanted to win one of the 12 iterations of this race as we ride on board with the 9 machine, or with the 9 machine of Andrew Cootie. He was one of the favorites to win as well out here. He's running in that low line, watching the high line just eat their lunch right on the outside of them. Big run on the outside. That's going to be maybe another 3-wide run.
They thought about it, but they ended up not doing it. Smart decision. I think we've seen enough of the 3 wides at the front of the field not work, especially with that inside lane. Sean Butler was looking like, okay, nope, we're not doing that one, and immediately just let the 4 and the 26 work down. And that's important too, because Stewart and Butler, the 4 and the 96, they have a very good working relationship in this race. It helped Butler win the race last year. They're going to be trying to do that again. They swap positions at the moment. Stewart's leading this too, but they are very much coordinating this to try to get that 26 around as well.
Meanwhile, back up front, it is the 83 show all day, every day. And lots of incredible driving going on here by all these drivers. And again, I think we're seeing them bide their time a little bit. Right now, they're just trying to figure out where they want to push, how they want to push, and just ticking laps down. We've scored 46 of 160. We're just over a quarter of the way done with this race. And with the 2 accidents already happening, nobody wants to tip the apple cart just yet. Nobody wants to be that person who gets in the middle of things, messes things up, and now the big ones happen for everybody.
We're finding the ebb and flow of this race again. A lot more green flag running here. We're seeing the 3 wides happening a little bit more once again as everyone begins to find the limits of their patience being in the back of the field. But this is sort of a reminiscent repeat of the start of the race. We had a decent green flag run to get everything started. The question is, do we get to see a full green flag pit stop run coming from this? Obviously, the last set of pit stops came on lap 40, or lap 32, lap 33 in that range. So we're not going to see pit stops until 64-ish. So we still have a long ways to go. We get to kick that can down the road a little bit. But that's the next step. That's the next stanza in this race, is developing that green flag run. Because if we see green flag pit stops, it's going to spread this field out a ton. Because you're going to have different pockets of drivers. It's going to spread the field out, and it's going to create almost like an accordion, as the field will then have to try to close itself back up. It's going to be very fun to watch. The question is, can we get there on lap 64?
Right now, the way they're pacing, we could absolutely see it, but that's not on the minds of anybody right now. 20 laps is a long way. Remember, this track is 2.5 miles. It takes about 40 seconds, maybe top 30s if you're running in draft, but it's still a 40-second lap around this entire track. They've got plenty of time to think about what they want to do with pit stops and plenty of time to think about how they want to manage that and handle that before they get there. So plenty of time to think about that. I think right now, nobody wants to be involved in the big one, which we know is brewing. There's a storm coming. Now, are you going to be on the right side of it, or are you going to be caught in the middle of it?
Now looking at Emily Howe leading this race, logging some laps at the front of the field, and no one's really significantly challenged her yet. McGee's been in tow with her, as has Nick Doucette. They're up front, and it's been pretty well uncontested between those three since the drop of the green flag. McGee sitting in second place. He's led some laps as well, got to lead some laps early before the first caution of this race. He's sitting comfy right now. He's not feeling great. He's under the weather, but right now, things are looking good for the 94 car sitting in the second position. Nick Doucette in third. He's been third in line with this group since the drop of the green flag, trying to get work together with them, whether it's been leading Howe or being third in line. He is right now the gatekeeper for that group. Dylan Roberts not really working with that group, but not against being around them either. Being a decent shadow in that fourth position behind Nick Doucette there. Didn't get a chance to really talk to him, but he seemed very poised, seemed very confident to shake off what happened yesterday when he was collected in different accidents across the night. Parker Alexander, the pole sitter for this race in the 45 machine. He's been all over the place. He's been down the field. He's been back up in the field. He's sitting fifth. Right now, he's the last car ahead of the inside lane right now. But for Parker Alexander, his key is just stay with this group. He was very keen on working with Howe and McGee. He's got a couple cars between him and them, but so far, not doing so bad. You have the 19 car of Person in the 7th position as McAdams tries to make his way on the inside lane. The inside lane beginning to charge forward again here. Trouble, though, as cars had an issue there on the tri-oval. Everyone seems like they got it all pretty well cleared, but that was almost a disastrous three-wide situation. Started and stopped in one go. Bernard Person in 8th place right now on the outside lane behind Parker Alexander and company. You see McAdams in the 26th, still running alongside. Then you have Nate Stewart and Sean Butler rounding out the top 10 at the moment.
Just over an hour into the race, hour and 15 minutes, plus or minus. With Carmen, Sienna, I am Joe Cortez. You are watching all-out coverage of the Winstel 2024 Winstel 400 with the 83 of Emily Howe currently running with position number 1 in this race. Now, the second question we have to ask here is, if we do see green pit stops, which right now we're trending towards, what do you do when you get down to the pit lane? Do you take 2 tires? Do you take no tires? Is it a fuel-only stop? I think some people are going to gamble on fuel-only this early just to see what their tires can do. But that being said, that's still a very, very ballsy call.
I think most of the field will take fuel-only here. A lot of the crew took tires either on the first caution or the second one, but they've taken tires on one of those 2 stops. Everyone's been down pit lane at least once. So this will be the first green flag stop if we make it there. Again, we have to wait another 11 laps to get to that point. But if we do, and we're not going to, caution
on the field. Not going to get there as a caution drops for the 3rd time this evening. We are pinpointing exactly where that took place. Maybe a mystery to pre-caution, I don't know. But in any event, 3rd caution now on the night.
Looks like it was an issue. I'm trying to figure out. It looks like it was an issue further on down the order here. I would say we'd have to take a look. Might be the 15 of Kyle Hendricks here, and it was the 15 of Kyle Hendricks. You see it on your screen there, the 15. Just going for a friendly loop, but obviously, unfortunately, on the yellow line there, enough to draw the caution.
Yeah, it looks like the 15. Looks like the 15 just may have dropped under that double yellow line. Oh no, check that. He got into the number 10 and bounced off the 18 as well. So that's going to be a 3-car incident that's going to cause the 15 to spin around, and that will bring out your 3rd caution of the evening.
Yeah, it looks like the 10 of Benson came down a little bit and grabbed him a little bit there, is what it looks like. We'll see from high above here. If Hendricks moves up, the good look there from the blimp cam. And there's a good transponder. Yeah, Benson comes down. It's what I thought. It's what it looked like. Obviously hard to see from here in the booth. Obviously having to look down the grandstands and the catch vent to obscure things. Keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on the 8 of Bates. He's going to have a very close call here with the 15 of Hendricks, who's got it locked down. He's doing everything he can to avoid coming back on the track. Bates gets super close to making contact there. And Hendricks does a really good job of just keeping it locked down and getting it pointed back in the right direction before anything nasty happens. That can very easily be a race ender. And now Hendricks gets to fight another day. Just put some fresh tires on it.
Put some fresh tires on it is what they always say, as the number 83 will lead them down pit lane. And I'm looking at everybody coming down to the attention of their crews. The question is, how many tires do they take, if any?
If you took tires in the last pit stop, you're not here, I don't think. Emily took 2 tires in the last stop. It'll be interesting to see if she takes 4 here, if she takes 2. She took left sides on the last pit stop. She'll take
4
right
tires.
sides here.
That'll be 4 tires for the 83, 4 tires for the 94, and looks maybe 2 tires for the 51, 2 tires for the 96. All kinds of strategies in play here, as the 83 will not be the first one to come off pit road.
Everyone took tires, though. That was important to sort of denote there. Emily took 4. Most everyone else took 2, it looks like. Yeah. Person, Stewart, McAdams, and Butler all took 2.
So once again, different strategies at play, trying to figure out where you want to be and who wants to lead this race right this moment. And I believe your provisional leader, as of right the second, is going to be the 4 machine of Nate Stewart, I believe, and right behind him is going to be the 19 of Bernard Person. The field has been shaken up quite a bit.
Yeah, with Nate Stewart being at the front of the field, it looks like it was a race off pit lane between those two. Stewart got the best of that situation, but for Bernard Person, not a bad effort. We haven't said his name a lot this weekend. What a way to make his emergence here. Then in the main event, now being at the front of the field.
So we continue to pace under caution out here, the 3rd caution of the evening, and this time no major damage for any of those drivers. Most of them, with the exception, I believe, of Milad Radman, have not had to take any their quick repair just yet. Everyone still has a quick repair ready to go when the big one happens. And when that does happen, I think a lot of drivers will be grateful they have that saved up.
And very fortunate that it looks like most of the field's still running in this race. It looks like all 43 cars still in this race so far. That 3rd caution, no damage for Kyle Hendricks. Obviously, not great for having him spinning around, but he is in 40th position, still running, and still with a good shot. All 43 cars still running. Not very often we get to see all 43 cars last through almost the first half of the race.
As you see the track facts out there right now, the Daytona Rising project completed in 2016 added another mile of seating to this track. And for all the viewers around here in the United States and around the world watching on ABN, we appreciate you tuning in, spending your Sunday night with us as we call the 12th annual Winstel 400. Drivers now lining up side by side. Carmen, who are you watching in this next green flag run?
It's all in that outside lane. Nate Stewart and Sean Butler, they've been working together all weekend long. They worked together last year and ended up 1-2ing this race. They're going to be on it from the start. Stewart has control of this restart. So he's going to be working in tandem with Sean Butler to get this taken care of here. Keep an eye on that outside lane. The outside lane is going to be a rocket ship on this initial restart. It's a matter of if Doucette and Dylan Roberts behind them can add support in this fight.
Me, I'm watching the drivers behind them. That includes the 51 of Nick Doucette, the 31 of Dylan Roberts and company behind them. If the 4 is forced to make a run down the low line, those guys are going to be the heir apparent to the lead out here and could easily take away the lead and pick up some TV time for themselves as well. Would not surprise me, again, if we see a little bit of piracy happening out here on the stretches of Daytona International Speedway. Pace car makes its way down pit road. It is now the 19's car to race to run. The 19 of Bernard Person leads him to the flag. We are back to green flag racing.
First lap on the restart looking good. Very quiet on the radios too. A lot of drivers focused and content with where they're at right now. None more content than the 4 and the 96. Running aboard with Nate Stewart, front of the field at the moment with help from the defending race winner Sean Butler. He's been as low as 16th, started this race on the front row. Some work to do though to get everything ready to go.
Nate Stewart, last year's bridesmaid, looking to be the bride here in 2024, but he's got a long way to go and a lot of competition left in front of him. 102 laps left on this gigantic track. He's got to make every one of those laps count if he wants to walk away the 2024 champion. High line still looking good, but the low line now starting to form, and they're starting to challenge, led by the 26 machine of Kevin McAdams.
Yeah, McAdams and Howe, that's a combination that's very potent. Hemley Howe knows how to get to the front from anywhere in this field. Just had to be patient, wait for that inside lane to do its thing. Now back to the outside lane. The inside lane very much abandoned here for the first 10 cars. Only a handful of cars in there. Logan Kress, Parker Alexander, and Alex Kolonix on the inside lane right now, but they've got to wait for the cavalry to arrive, and that cavalry is spreading thin.
If I'm Emily Howe right now, I'm a little nervous. Only because I'm at the mercy of the driver that I'm pushing. I'm at the mercy of that car in front of me. If they make a wrong move, if the 03 of Logan Crest goes a different way, or they don't make contact correctly, that's going to cause a chain reaction down the field, and everyone's going to need to come back down the field. Let's follow along now to the 99, that X-Side, that Jeff Burton tribute of Milad Radman. He's now making his way back through the field, currently sitting 39th, but I think he's got something left in that tank. He's got the fast repair. He's got a fast car. It's just a matter of when does he want to make his move through the field and back up to challenge some of these drivers.
You see right now running through the field there with Radman, 4 seconds off the race leader at the moment as things stand, but not in trouble at the moment. Sitting 39th place. But you see, like, there's already, it's not just Radman and then you see all the way through, you have to go out. There's a line, there's a Congo line of draft that he can sort of piggyback off of here to make some moves. Looking, get past there's Malillo right there in the 60 as well. Getting around, that's Tristan Baker in the 60 as well.
So I think those drivers are playing the long game right now. They know cautions breed cautions. They know the problem. They know that there's some issues out there with these drivers running as hard as they can. And what they want to do is they want to avoid the big one. Now when we talk about the big one, it's not a matter of if it will happen. It's a matter of when it will happen. That's when you have a couple of leaders, like I was talking about with Howe back there. You have leaders get squirrely, they make a bump wrong, they make a move wrong, and next thing you know, someone's getting turned into the wall, and all of the cars are involved. I think these guys are waiting for that big one to happen. They want to stay off pace, they want to wait for that big one to happen, and then make their move when all the drivers are hurting after that incident.
Not a bad move. Right now, Kevin McAdams leads the way. Started in 23rd. That's the lowest he's been. Started near the bottom. Didn't stay there. Now out front with help from Emily Howe, who's all too willing to oblige and push that 26 out forward. Nate Stewart in 3rd place, though. Stewart and Butler staying in that top 5 right now. I said earlier, Sean Butler's my pick. He looked good all weekend long. Still up there at the moment. But again, it's very crowded because there's Logan Crest in the 03 leading the inside lane once again. It's no surprise that those that have won this race have been consistently at the front of the field.
And once again, take a look at who he's getting the push from. Emily Howe all over the back bumper of that Doritos machine. Back, no matter which way he goes, no matter where he goes, Emily Howe is just continues to shove him forwards in that car. So I'm almost looking at her as a blessing and a liability right now at the same time. Yes, you absolutely want her pushing you because she is going to give you the most aggressive push up front. You are also a little bit anxious as we see one driver get way out of the line there. No caution out yet as he tried to make it back in. I'm also looking at it as a liability because all it takes is one wrong shove and we're all in the wall.
Yeah, it can go bad in a hurry. We've seen that already, but we've also seen a lot of drivers get very, very lucky so far. Does luck run out? I think it's still a little bit early to see if people are testing their luck right now, but definitely experimenting with everything. Throwing the kitchen sink if you're in the back right now, as we see, it looks like almost 4 wide. And here we go.
Caution. 4th caution on the field. Looks like it'll be at least 4 cars involved in that one. Trying to get the numbers out there right now. That's going to be 4 cars.
That's the 24 that we're running on board with right now, or at least getting a piece of. That was Spencer Owens. It looks like that may have been the biggest bearer of news on that one. There, it looks like 98 of Philip Snipes got a piece of it as well. And it looks like a miscommunication. Someone tried to fill a hole that just wasn't completely there yet. We'll have to see if we can go back here. That's where the 24 and the 98 get together, but it's already started ahead of them, and it starts with the 16.
It looks like a 1673 got hooked somewhere and forced the 1673 to get involved in the air to start the whole incident out there, as a 16 and 19 may have made contact out there, may not. Let's follow along here to see what happens when he's in the middle of that line, getting squirrely throughout the run there. And let's see here. Rewind in through the tri-oval, into the turn. Oh, he had some help there from, I believe, the 19.
Yeah, the 19 had help. That was from the 64, and it pushed the 19 up into the 16, and they just start bouncing off each other, that ping-pong effect. And the 16 and 17, who already had run-ins with each other last night in the duels, into it once again up front, and everyone else trying to avoid it. This is arguably the largest incident of the night, but still relatively tame in comparison to what it could have been, because that was asking to be trouble. You see the 24 and the 98 side by side together. This is where the 98 gets more contact. Able to turn around and wave to the 73 for a moment. You see Radman there, one of the drivers have been kind of following back through the field, getting through that unscathed. The 08 of Quentin Clark getting a pretty decent jump scare out of that. Overall, only 5 cars really involved in this incident. That could have been a way worse scenario.
So once again, everyone comes down to the attention of their crews. Let's follow along with the 51 of the 51 of Nick Doucette. I want to say Ryan Doucette there. Nick Doucette, full take, looks like 2 outside tires on the right side, going down and away. The 45 doing the same exact thing, but again, won't be the first one to come off pit road. I believe the 07 is just one of many try to come off pit road. We may have a new leader this time by.
That is going to be an interesting thing to follow along with here. The 4 of Nate Stewart. First one off of pit lane. Kyle Hendricks. Have to see if he missed his pit box here. See if he might have to come back down pit lane. If not, then it's going to really shake things up because he's not been this far forward.
The lights are still on the pace car, so as long as the lights are still on, you can come down pit road for the most part. 1 to go is when they close it off. As we look at Hendricks right now, killing the engine, only 300 RPMs on that engine. He's doing everything he can to save some fuel in that vehicle. He may come down pit road right before they close the road entirely and fill up on fuel. It's not that early to be going into to be playing strategy, but it's a very, very interesting play.
Yeah, see if he may have made a mistake and just decided to keep hold of it. Because that's happened before too, where drivers are just like, oh, we'll wing it and see what happens. Again, for Hendricks, who's already been in the back of the field most of this race, this is a chance to probably get some fresh air and try something different, try to get in a different crowd. Because you talk about, being either on the outskirts of the storm or being the eye of the storm. He's been pretty well near the eye of the storm the entire race. So this could be a breath of fresh air for him. He decided to stay out there, and he will take the outside lane. So this is something that's going to be interesting to see. His first time out front in a field as big as this. Let's see if he can hold on to it.
So he will elect to take the outside lane on this restart. On the inside of him is the 4 of Nate Stewart as we go side by side one more time for the 5th time tonight and get ready to go back to green flag racing. If this gamble is successful, it could put him on a different pace for those green flag pit stops, which we haven't seen yet, but still could be happening. But I think that's a challenge he's going to figure out sooner or later rather than sooner.
He'll be alongside Nate Stewart there. Stewart and Butler working together. I'm surprised that Kyle Hendricks gave Stewart and Butler just uncontested reign to work together, especially with Hendricks staying out and staying in the front of the field. I feel like if you're going to play that game, you'd want to separate the 96 and the 4. That's going to be interesting to see because he's given them free reign, and there's a lot of drivers now that have to learn how to be around Hendricks, or they're going to dump into the middle immediately, and this could get sketchy. It's going to be it's going to be entertaining to say the least, but Kyle Hendricks will have his hands full here because they are not going to be gentle on this restart.
Do not go gentle into that restart. Rage against the dying of the tires. That's the best I can give you on this one. Let's go back to green flag racing here as the first racing Ford Mustang pace car will come down pit road this time by, and the field will be handed to Kyle Hendricks through the restart zone and to the green flag. Let's see what he's able to do now that he's on a different pace for pit stops. Does he stay high? Does he go low? Green flag flies in the 15. May have had an issue there. Might have spun the tires just a little bit as the 4 gets a good shot off the line. One lap complete here on the field. They continue to run. That low side now being the hot place to go. The 4 of Nate Stewart getting pushed by the 96 machine that belongs to Sean Butler and company. Everybody now trying to figure out how they want to move, what the paradigm shift is now that it's getting darker. The track's going to grip up. It's going to be a little quicker out here, and now everyone trying to figure out how they want to make this shift happen at this juncture. The 4 continues to lead, but look on the outside. I believe that is the 80 of Brandon Cattell trying to make something work on the high side, as now the 4 goes high with the help of the 96 and the 07.
The first time in Winstel 400 history, the lights are on at Daytona. We saw in that initial restart, Kyle Hendricks got a completely abandoned, thrown down outside the top 15. He's now on the inside lane trying to make his way back forward, but it was very clear from the initial restart that no one was going to help him out here. With now you look at Parker Alexander being helped by Emily Howe to the front of the field. Side by side between a bunch of favorites right now. They are leading the way into 3.
45 getting a little squirrely out there as he's getting pushed by the 83. Chat saying that's exactly who you want pushing you. Me, I'd be doing a little bit of rear view window racing right now as I watch that 83 continue to shove me to the lead. So once again, the 45 and Parker Alexander, your pole sitter for this race, back in position number 1. Emily Howe, the hardest driver out here in the field tonight. She's in second, and I believe that's a 51 of Nick Doucette rounding out your top 3.
Alexander right now running front of the field. Doucette third. Single file for those front 3. That's where they want to be at the moment. Then it's side by side between Cattell and the 20. To head into turn number 1. We'll take a chance here. Now we are almost to the halfway point of this race where so much of the race is changing. Let's look back from Alexander's car. We'll look at drafting 101 here. Very important. The car in front, like where Alexander is right now, will punch a hole in the air. It opens up the air for the car behind. It allows the car behind to have uncontested slipstream. That car will close in. What you're going to see here is a little bit of a buffer where the, almost like a bubble we talk about so often, develops. You need a third car behind if you're not trail braking as the lead car to get hooked up. Once you get hooked up, it's go time, and that's what we're seeing now with the tandems. When we talk about tandem drafting, that's exactly what we're talking about. When those 2 cars get hooked up, where the bumper of the rear car and the bumper of the front car are together, they are going to, that's a tandem draft. They're going to get a lot of speed. It was very popular in the early 2010s, so we have a crash. There's a crash out front. There's the 11 car.
It is a big one. Several drivers involved in this one. Caution comes out for the 5th time tonight. I see the 10 involved. I believe I saw the 11 involved. Several drivers in the infield as we're going to have to take a couple moments to sort this all out.
And this is going into turn 3. Just drivers running out of space here, and it started early. It started with the 11 car. And you see so many cars involved. This is where the big one strikes. Snipes involved again. The 10 involved of Benson. The 61 of Cook. 24 of Spencer Adams. Doing a good job of staying out of it.
Honestly, it may be easier to tell you who wasn't involved than count everybody who was involved. That first 5 group, they were able to break away pretty quick, and then you see it right here as around the 11 and the 8, they get side by side. The TJ's team, a machine gets spun sideways, gets into the 96, and then it just creates a chain reaction down the rest of the field. The back half of the field all getting some sort of damage, some way involved in this incident, as you just see them scatter all the way across the track.
We'll have to see if we can get a blimp cam of that, because it looks like the 8 car moved up into the 11 car and just kind of squeezed the 11 out of space. See if we get a look here. That is the 8 that won the last chance qualifier to get into this race.
Oh, you're right. It might have been a checkup.
Yeah, because the 8, I think, is trying to follow the draft here and just moves across. Yeah, completely just moves across. And there was nothing the 11 could do there. The 11 was in that space, and they had a car to those outside already. And that's Sean Butler, the defending race winner, that was pinned down, and he gets slammed again hard by the 34.
That is a massive, massive incident just about halfway through the race here. Good news is a lot of these drivers still have their quick repair they can use. The number 11 machine racing for TJ's Team Foundation, Austin Reedy, he's going to need that right about now. And I can probably count a handful of other drivers who are trying to make that decision right now Do I take that quick repair? Do I not? What do I do?
It's going to be rough. Obviously, pit lane open. Drivers taking service. You look at some drivers, Radman there, the 99, taking extended repairs. Same with the 96. They are not using fast repairs here. Yeah, Radman's already used his fast repair. Sean Butler has not. 96 has not. The 99 has of Radman. Radman started this race in the top 5. Has been down as low as 41st. He'll be down near the bottom of the order once again. There's Spencer Owens getting more repairs done. He got ran into from behind there. And then there's got Butler, who's going to have a lot of extended repairs because he got slammed on every side in that incident.
I'm not sure if Butler used his quick repair yet, but we're looking at now over a minute and a half of repairs on that car. If he's already used his quick repair, he's just stuck there. There's nothing he can do right now, and they're going to be there for a while, getting those repairs done. Other drivers coming off pit road now, the 023, the 09, the 54, all coming off the pit road to the attention of their crews. Sorry, check that, the 054 of Mo Perry, all coming down off their pits walls, and now Butler, almost 2 minutes on that stop, will come off and get back on track. Now, I'm really concerned now for some of those drivers who've already taken their quick repairs. I'm also equally concerned for those who have taken them now. Now it adds a completely new dimension to this race, because if you're out, you're out.
And the issue is that we are not halfway yet. We're coming to lap 79. We're on lap 78 right now. We're 2 laps away from being halfway. That's a concern. There's a lot of drivers that have already spent fast repairs early. Sean Butler held on to his. So Sean Butler has not used his, I can confirm that. But, and that's a smart decision for Butler to use. The issue now is he is a sitting duck if we have an extended green flag run. And typically, now this is the time, the point where you don't want a green flag run to go forever.
Well, it depends who you are, actually. It all depends who you are. If you're up front, if you don't have damage, you want that green flag to go as long as it can, because now you have free reign on the rest of the field. You'll see quickly who the haves and have-nots are. If you're one of those drivers who took damage, if you're one of those drivers who are further in the back, you're okay with a caution flag right about now, because that may equalize things and allow you to start creeping your way up front.
I'll tell you what, you can creep your way up front all you want to. The front of the field still looks very similar. It's Parker Alexander and Emily Howe at the front of the field, with Nate Stewart and Nick Desepp in row 2. Kyle Hendricks, his gamble has paid off. He's now in 6th with a pit stop with everybody else. He is now in this group. He's in 6th alongside Christian Budd. Now, with everyone on level footing, what can the 15 car do now up front this time? He was abandoned before. Now, he gets to sort of stay in line and fit in here. What does he do here?
I think he does what everyone does. Hit the loud pedal and get racing. Green flag flies at almost the halfway point of this race. Into turn number 1 they go. I believe it's the 83 that's leading right now. No, check that. It's the 45 of Parker Alexander. He sits on the pole. He's out on the pole. He wants to take it home, but he's being challenged on the low side by the 83 and company. Trouble, big trouble, big caution on the backstretch. Everybody getting scattered, smothered, and covered. This is going to be the big one once again. And now we're going to start seeing some guys get eliminated from this race.
Several cars involved here. Looking at, there's McGee off to the far right of your screen in the 94. That McDonald's machine. Tristan Baker got all sorts out of shape. We'll go back and look at what happened here. This has already started here, and you see how many cars went off to the inside lane. And it happens. We're looking at the 9 and the 60 of Baker and Cootie. Cootie, that's not a smart move as a driver there. You don't want to, on the exit, you don't want to switch lanes and go to the outside on the exit there. That's where all that starts. So the 9 and the 19 gets together, and it's haywire from there.
Big hits, big damage for a lot of these drivers out here. I hate to say it, but a couple of these drivers are probably going to go back to the lobby as a result of this one. I don't know if you want to call it over-aggression. I don't know if you want to call it just bad timing or bad luck, but in any event, this is what we were trying to hold off for. This is, if you're in the middle of the pack especially, this is what you're trying to hold off for. This is what you're trying to avoid. If you're in the front, though, this is okay. You're okay with this because it allows you guys to restack up one more time and come back to get back to green flag racing, leaving the have-nots behind.
Yeah, looking on board here, this is from Tristan Baker. And Goody looks to the outside lane. And it's never fully on there, the 19. Trying to drift out there. Obviously, he's not able to see much in front of him, and he can't see behind him at the same time either. Baker getting all sorts out of shape there. We'll see on board with Spencer Owens now. And he's going to have another close call here.
Lots of close calls on this field. Lots of craziness out here tonight. But this is a time where it starts to get a little crazy. This is where it starts to get a little wild. 6 caution flag out for the evening. And as we watch on the 24 of Spencer Owens, you just see how crazy it gets out there. Spencer Owens does a great job to avoid all of that. The bad news is it looks like you did get a little bit of damage on the right side of that machine. So he may be coming in and trying to get a little bit of help to get that Exalta Chevrolet back running forward.
Given how his weekend has been so far, I think he'll take that little touch on the right side there for him. Pit lane is stacked right now. Baker in pit lane as well. That is at least a dozen cars with extended repairs now. McGee among that list. Spencer Owens among that list. It listed the 79 on that list. Andrew Cootie, who was involved in that incident. The 16's involved. Some of them obviously in pit lane now. Some of them are going to have to wait until the very last moment. Yeah, Jose Solis Jr. Looks like that is, the 99 of Radman, who may just getting repairs from the last caution. Still, he may not have been involved in that initial. It may not have been involved in this one, but getting more damage repairs done. We know that Sean Butler will be the same way. Was not involved in this last caution, but will be getting repairs done from the previous caution because he was in pit lane the very longest possible moment. McGee, though, was 1% involved in this most recent caution, and he had a decent amount of damage to that right front suspension.
Watching the 94 now leave pit road. 76 seconds as he had to get some repairs out there. I don't know. Again, I'm not sure if they've used their quick repair or not. They may be saving it. We're only halfway done with this race. 2 hours in, we're only halfway done, and the nerves are absolutely settling in right now. The exhaustion is starting to settle in. The mental games are being played on all of those with all those drivers right now. And now it's less of a question of energy, it's also a question of mental fortitude as well. What do I need to do to stay focused? What do I need to do to keep driving? What do I need to do to block out all those distractions that come after literally working the wheel for 2 hours, and try to make it so that you're not working the wheel, you're working the wheel, not the wheel's working you, for the next 2 hours.
Right on board right now with Christian Budd here. First time in the top 10 all night long. He's been in the fringe. Right on board with him, you see change of visor here during the pit stops from the tinted visor to the clear visor. Now that the sun is set here at Daytona. He's where he wants to be. He said he felt comfortable. Didn't want to hype himself up too awful much, but he felt confident. He felt comfortable. This is a chance for him to get a really good start here in tonight's event. Right on board with him. He's on the outside lane here in row 3 on the outside of Kyle Hendricks. So some new faces have emerged here as some drivers have begun to fall and falter with damage.
Fun fact for you, Kyle Hendricks in the 15 machine, he was the last place starter. He's now running in the top 5. His gamble paid off as he's now has a chance to run for the championship. $1,000 to the winner, and it's still anybody's race. Popsicle 6 flew a couple laps ago. We are over halfway done with this race. Green flag about to fly as the first racing Ford Mustang pace car gets down off the field. It will go back to the hands of the 45 and the 83. Side by side, they hit the restart zone. Green flag flies, and we are back to racing in Daytona.
riding on board with Emily Howell at the moment. As things run, it's a Toyota looking back at a Chevrolet. That's Nick Doucette in the 51 that we're looking back at right now. Looking at Doucette in front of Kyle Hendricks. The inside lane got going, and they've moved with authority. The inside lane is the lane that's popped up as the dominant lane through this weekend. The outside lane has popped its head out as being a potential option today, but historically speaking this weekend, the inside lane has been it, and you see why. That is a huge breakaway, 5 cars in it.
We've seen this breakaway happen before. We've seen it before caution flags, so it's not surprising that the 45 of Alexander is leading his own little tangent of cars, like the Pied Piper. He's piping along for the 83 and company to come to lead to this race and continue around. Back behind him, 2 lines of racing continue to fight. Now the question is, how long can those 5 cars up front go before they're caught up to by the rest of the field? The
issue is that if they continue to be side by side and side draft each other, they're not going to catch up. That is the problem. And right now you're seeing this new separation with Nate Stewart. That's the 18 of Saucier involved in that line as well. And then the 50 of Christian Budd. And I believe that's the 81 of Corey Carpenter, the 81, in that group right now. Jack Mace involved as well in this group. They're trying to work together to break away, but we're about to see like little trains break away with how things have worked so far, because they are still not organized to try to catch up to the top 5. This 5-car tandem is very well organized. Kyle Hendricks, his first start in the Winstel 400, he is put in with a bunch of veterans in this race. Sitting right here with 4 of them. Jack Mace, the 07, with help from Michael Conti. The 51 of Nick Doucette, the 83 of Emily Howell, the 45 of Parker Alexander, the pole sitter of this race. All top 5, and they have separated. They are gone in this race right now. The gap just between the 5th place car of Mace and the 6th place car of Stewart is 2.3 seconds. That is the gap opened in 2 laps. That is insane stuff right now, and Stewart and Saucier and everyone behind them are hitting the panic button now, because that 5-car tandem is the most dangerous group we've seen so far, and we've seen trouble on the back straightaway. Somehow they all kept it safe. That could have been a disaster.
That could have been disastrous, absolutely. You talk about how these 5 drivers are able to get such a head start. Let's look at the back of the rest of that field. Let's look from the 4 on back. You have 2, maybe 3 lanes of driving that are all trying to commandeer position, all trying to fight with each other for position, and the more they infight amongst themselves, the better it is for the 5 cars out front. Without any organization, without being able to take those lines and really organize them and keep them in a straight line all together, you're not going to have that run you need. You're not going to have the pull to get everyone going in the right direction. So these 5 guys right now, there are 4 guys in one lane up front. They're going to do everything they can and hope that the back continues to fight amongst themselves in order to keep their lead moving forward. They picked up 1.2 seconds in 1 lap, all because of the infighting going on.
Yeah, it's insane how quickly they've gained so much time here. Alexander leads the way at the front of the field. He's led 24 laps tonight, as you can see on your screen there. He's done a fantastic job here tonight. And you see that group. And you see there's a line beyond that too. They've separated into 3 different groups. This is the race we were expecting to see at the start of the race. We're seeing it now, crossing the halfway point. We're obviously with 72 laps to go here. Now, and this is the 3rd line, led by Jacob Potak and Brendan McGee. This is not a healthy line at the moment either. This is a line of drivers that have had issues, and Potak knows that he's holding drivers up because he's also wounded at the moment. A little bit of trouble, Philip Snipes. Going to check up more people here. We're going to go back and look at what happened. What happened to Philip Snipes? This is a replay on the left side of your screen. Oh, this is going to be interesting again. Looking at how this evolves. Philip Snipes, Andy Trupiano in the 34. Oh, this is between the 8 In the 98, 2 Winstel veterans got checked up there. The 08 at Quentin Clark. Almost having a huge avoidance there. But everyone's staying in the right direction, but that slowed down that secondary group once again in a huge way.
I was about to say that benefits one group in particular, and that is your top 5 right now, who continue to drive away from the rest of the field. The rest of the field having issues getting organized, fighting amongst themselves. Now, if I'm the spotters right now, if I'm the teams right now,
caution's out.
As caution comes out.
Caution's out in a big way. And it is further on in the back of the field, and it's Patak, who we saw trying to get out of the way of that last line. And he's going to tow.
He's not going to have a choice. Let's take that from Radman's view on the number 99. I think he had the best view of what exactly happened in this incident, and it shows just exactly what took place. We're riding on rooftop now, on board 99 of Milad Radman, and you see right in front of him what exactly goes on. 3 cars get involved, and the driver of that one getting the worst of it. He's going to be forced to get the tow back, and that is not a good look for the 28 Haviland of Rob Collier.
Yeah, Collier, looks like Patak were involved in that. And we see already there's the 28 of Collier. Turned around facing the wrong direction. Trying to put 61 forward.
It looks like it gets hooked. Yep. Gets hooked by the 66. Potak hooks the 28 and puts him straight into the wall. The 66 has major damage on his front end as well. Then gets it from the back from the 16 machine. That belongs to Tyler Murray, the teammate of Austin Reedy out there. So 3 cars getting major damage as a result of that incident, and I believe all 3 of those drivers have already been forced to use their quick repair. They may not be coming back from this one.
If they do, they'll be several laps down. Right on board, this is the helmet cam of Tyler Murray. Ooh.
Nowhere to go on that one.
And that is game set match there for the 16, the 66, and the 28, almost effectively out of time there for all 3 of them.
Meanwhile, we're starting to see some dice rolling on pit road. You see the pit times here. Sit between 6 and 9 seconds for your leaders. Carpenter taking a 6.5 stop. Emily Howe, 9.3 seconds, the longest of that group. Alex Kalanick, 6.8 seconds. Cody, 6.4 seconds. Hendricks, who gambled earlier, another long stop for him relatively, 9.2 seconds. You guys are seeing all kinds of strategies being played here, but it's pretty consistent all the way around. Fuel only this time, or maybe 2 tires. So coming off pit road, coming off that stretch of racing, your leader will be the 07 machine of Jack Mace, being supported by Team Conti, former NASCAR iRacing Coke Series champion Michael Conti's team. Behind him is going to be a whole contingent of drivers who are looking to try to pick up this win in some way, shape, or form. The 4 is up there, the 45 up there as well, and I believe the 83 is somewhere in that mix as they go 2 wide, getting ready to go back to green flag racing. Mace electing to take the high side this time, as it's been the side to be on, but now the track is cooling, now that it's rubbering up, is it going to continue to be the place to be? First laps led by Mace today as the 07 and 4 side by side. The 51 machine of Nick Doucette will restart position. I'm sorry, 45 will start in position number 3. Parker Alexander. Doucette will start position number 4, and 2 by 2 they continue down the track. Still anybody's race to win. Still anybody's opportunity. All I know is we have less than halfway to go. Time is running out. 67 laps left in this race. 2 hours expired. My name is Joe Cortez alongside Carmen Sienna. You are watching live coverage of the 2024 Winstel 400 here on ABN, the Aero Broadcast Network. Going through turns 3 and 4 one more time after the 8th caution comes out. I think there's only one way to officially get this race going one more time. Get those speakers going. Take them to 11, if you will, because you're about to feel these guys rumble around the 2.5-mile tri-oval. That is Daytona International Speedway. First racing Ford Mustang pace car will make the hard right left turn down pit road. This time by, and the field will be in command of the 07 of Jack Mace. Only one way to do this as I hit the restart zone. Let's crank it up. Go ahead and crank it down as we get back to green flag. We continue green flag racing here at Daytona International Speedway, the world center of racing. As a 50, looks like we have a new leader out there. That's going to be the 51 of Nick Doucette, who's going to take the lead. And look who's pushing Nick Doucette. You know the name. You love the name. The 83 of Emily Howe immediately on that back bumper. The 07 of Jack Mace running out your top three as the pack now are back once together. They are now looking to really keep these guys in check and keep them running within arm's distance of each other. They don't want to let them get that big run again, because if they give them the run, they're going to be gone, and this race would effectively be down to those 5 drivers.
Yeah, right now we're looking at Doucette, Howe, Mace. Then you have Andrew Cootie in the 9, sitting in 4th. Then you have Brendan McGee, who's gotten his car repaired. That 200-mile-an-hour tape all over that 94 car. Getting it back up to the top 5 at the moment. Looking pretty good so far. McGee back up front, under the weather, but not letting him stop him as he actually goes to the outside of Cootie here with help from Nate Stewart and company. And forward they go. As the 03 and Nathan Kress going by as well. Outside lane, beginning to charge.
The high line getting hot once again, led by that 07 of Jack Mace, 2x2. Pretty even lines as Jack Mace now takes the lead with the help of the 94 machine of Brendan McGee. Now again, McGee has never won this race. He's finished in the top 5 3 different times, so you know he's itching to make the move. The thing is, when do you make the move? How do you make the move, as we have now someone coming down the low line trying to help that train get moving? That's going to be the 2, I believe, of Alex Klonix.
Yeah, Mace and McGee, they both already led laps so far today with less than 60 laps to go. I think it's still a little bit too early. Still have another at least full green flag pit stop cycle before you have to really worry about making your moves and figuring all this stuff out. You've been doing a lot of testing. You've been setting yourself up to be in position. You don't want to call your bluff too early, though. That has been such an important key here. You know, being, whether as a driver finishing second in this race or crew chiefing drivers to wins in this race, you always want to wait until like the last 20 laps to really start making moves. You want to make those money moves as late as possible and set those moves up in the best way possible. McGee knows what it's like to be in that position. It's just about polishing it off. And that's going to be such a hard thing to do in this race. Jack Mace is in a good position right now. Nate Stewart knows where he wants to be. If you're in the top 10 right now, you're pretty well set. You're okay with just kind of staying here right now. You just don't want to put yourself in a bad spot. You don't want to overthink yourself right now, and that's something that a lot of drivers can do if you haven't been in this position before. Thankfully, these drivers that we're seeing right now in the top 5 with Mace and McGee, Stewart, Kress, Butler, there's 2 former winners in that top 5 right now. They're 4th and 5th, despite having damage. That's not luck, that's skill. And we're seeing that in full display right now.
That being said,
caution's out.
Caution's out for the 9th time tonight, and it's going to be another big one. Lots of drivers involved. The 34 sideways, big hit on the 34. Snipes, Ian Trupiano getting the big hit there. Several other drivers involved. The 26, I believe the 98 had to get a hit there.
A little bit of ARCA brakes there for the 98 car.
Let's go back and look what happened there. That was some insanity, starting with a 34.
And that's a bad place to be on the back straightaway. There's no way forward here. Oh, the 18 associate involved as well. That's unfortunate for him. His first appearance in this race. Oh, is this off the nose? Is this off the nose of No, it's not off the nose of Stewart. That's off the nose of... Oh, it's off the nose of Saucier. The 26 goes and turns the 34 around.
No, if you go just a little bit further back, the 34 gets involved after getting that shove from the driver up there. I couldn't catch the number, but he gets a shove from, I believe, what is that, 26 of McAdams?
Yeah, McAdams tries to fill a hole that Saucier's already filling. And McAdams, 2 birds with 1 stone, unfortunately. McAdams turns Trupiano back into the field, and I think that's the 054 of Mo Perry. I think that's also got a piece of it too. Ready on board with Sis here. Here's Bryce Sis, your two-time Champ Car World Series race winner. Nowhere for him to go. And McAdams realizes it just too late that there's no space. He realizes it way too late.
Just bad luck, bad timing, a lot of bad things happening there, and I believe this is going to weed out some of the drivers. The field is going to start thinning here at the Winstel 400. On pit road, everybody coming to the attention of their crews. Might as well fill up with gas again and see what you can do with tires. It looks like the 4 machine of Nate Stewart, the runner-up from last year, will come back out front in position number 1. 7.2 seconds for his, might have been the splash and go for the 4 machine.
It's looking like it here. Splash and goes here. Not been too long since they last pit, so they would only really need to take fuel. And they have the fuel only stop. Butler with 2 tires. Malilla with 2 tires. Sturgill with fuel only. Riddy with fuel only. Mays with 4 tires. Interesting move there.
Tires are not as important at this track as we've said before, because you're running in line, you're not turning the wheel a whole lot, and ultimately you're being real easy on those tires as they come off pit road. We're following along with the 99 of Radman now, who's had an up and down race, finds himself now closer to the front than before. But tires don't matter here. Tires are the least of your concerns. What you really want now is just to have enough gas to get to the front. Now we have 55 to go, meaning for everybody who just filled up, who just took a splash and go, they're not going to be able to make it all the way to the end. They're going to have to stop at least one more time around lap 85, 86, 87, 88 in this 160 lap, with 55 to go, they're going to stop another 30 laps. My brain got away from me there. They're going to stop with about 20 left to go in this race. So you can't go all the way on gas. You're going to have to plan a pit stop, and you're hoping it's not under green flag.
Yeah, it's a 1 pit stop window now, firmly, is where we're at now. So that makes it very easy and straightforward for the drivers. They don't have to need the mental math to make it anywhere.
Oh no!
And also, it's a one-stop race, so now it's about to really uncork, I think.
I'm about to say, Carmen, you're still playing mental math games out there. You're still talking to the spotter, to the crew chief, and asking, when do I come down? When do I need to come down? How much do we have left? And what is the bare minimum? What is the last lap we can come down to run empty right at the start-finish line? This is where the strategy comes down to splitting hairs. This is where it comes down to pit this lap, not pat that lap. And this is where it gets down to, at the end of the day, who can I trust to come down pit road with me that will have my back and let me get back into pace once again? If we get green flag pit stops, it's going to get very crazy in a hurry. Nate Stewart will take the outside lane to go back to green flag racing. On the outside of him, I believe, is the 07 of check that, 03 of Logan Kress.
That last point that you made was very important. It's not so much about the mileage you're going to get, it's about who's going to come with you. Now you're coordinating with more than anybody. There's not a time where you've been coordinating with other drivers than right now, because if you come down to a money stop and it's under green, that is the be-all, end-all. And we've not had green flag pit stops this race at all yet. No one's had to really worry about it. If they have to worry about it now, it is going to be calamity central on pit lane. So everyone's communicating that. But as you mentioned, like if there's a bit of mileage involved in that, but it's all about who you're with. And you're not going to come alone. You cannot come alone. But you're not going to worry about that until after about lap 130. So they're going to be able to kick the can down the road. After you get to lap 130, pit whenever.
Let the mind and math games begin as the pace car makes the hard left turn down pit road. They're back to green flag racing, led by the 4 of Nate Stewart. He's going to get a real close shave from that 03 machine. We're back to green flag racing here on the Winstel 400. Highline looks like the place to be once again as the 4 has an advantage. Looks about a car length advantage over the 0-3 down below. Looks like it's going to continue that advantage as now people are starting to get squirrely. Now that we're looking at some people swapping lines, trying to get in that high line that seems to be faster. Some people getting stuck in the low line. Will we see 3-wide racing? Maybe not yet. But again, for the 4, the 94, the 96, this is all great news for them. The more they fight behind them, the better run they can get to take control of this race.
Survival of the fittest is what we're going to find out here. Some drivers, some cars, better put together than others at this point. Right on board with Stewart, looking back at the gaggle of cars, machine and humanity behind him.
Machine, humanity, strategy, all comes down to the next 52 laps. How bad do you want it, and how have you presented yourself to get into this position? The 94 machine, that belongs to Brandon McGee. Again, 3-time top 5 finisher, never a winner. You know he wants it just as bad. Behind him, Sean Butler, the 05 of the 07 of Jack Mace, all hungry, all hunting, all biding their time, waiting for everything to come together. Just now it's a matter of when do we make our move and how do we do it in a way that gives us the win.
Trouble, caution's out. Trupiano and Snipes again.
That 60 machine of that Granger machine of Tristan Baker also limping down pit road. That could be his night, decided right now as we see him limp down the grass and onto pit road. Let's go back and take a look at what brought out caution number 10 for the evening, and it looks like it's going to start down on that low line.
Well, no, it starts up top. Kyle Hendricks having the check up there, and then Snipes gets turned by the 61 of Corey Cook. And everyone has to scramble from that outside lane on down. Radman, a really good save by the 99. But not so fortunate further down. The 60 of Baker. 73 of Burnett. 24. Oh, this is going to hurt.
Ouch.
That's a sudden change of direction there by Kyle Hendricks. That 24 car, you see there, just kind of getting through the screen. Looks like he gets through that okay. See if we can get an on-board shot of the 24, because that's going to be a wild ride of a time on board with him. This is leading up to it. This isn't even close to it. Spencer Owens giving us the good hands award of the race so far. Pretty well captained that award so far tonight. All of it checks up. Check up. Oh. Got a little bit of it there with a Baker. Saves it off the tail slap. Saves it and keeps it away from Kyle Hendricks. That could have been disastrous.
Spencer Owens in the Exalta Chevrolet. What a move to make the save and ultimately get through that traffic. He's going to be able to continue this race potentially because of those quick thinking movements.
It looks like... Yeah, it looks a little bit ahead there. It's the 11 and the 88. The 88 of Martinez, the 11 there just behind him. They check up. The 13 gets away with it. The 19 just barely gets away with it. But Corey Cook unsighted. Kyle Hendricks unsighted. The 98 gets turned. The 15 gets turned. And Captain Planet goes for a ride.
Just bad luck for both of those drivers, man. They continue to run into each other time and time again in this race. And, you hate to see it, but unfortunately, that's just, that's rubbing is racing, as they say. That's just hard racing. There's no malice between those two drivers. I think it's just bad luck and bad timing. Back out front, it's still the 4 of Nate Stewart leading this race. Behind him, the 94 of Brendan McGee going to be in second place once again. So now, here's my question to you, Carmen. If you're number 4, if you're Stewart, what do you do? What do you take the high line? Do you take the low line? And if you're the 94 of Brendan McGee, what do you do to try to get around the 4 and keep this lead?
Unfortunately for McGee, he doesn't have much of a choice here. The 4 is going to pick the 96 easily. they're going to pick the inside lane there. The 496 are going to hook up. The 94 is going to have to make do here with the 90 of Michael Sturgill there, who's not had to be in this position very often. He's been very quiet. Started in the back of the field, started in 24th, or started in 18th, excuse me, went as low as 24th. He just sort of been riding. Now he can't ride. If McGee's trying to get to the front of the field, he can't ride with Sturgill. Sturgill's got to be on him from the start here. And that's a hard thing to really sort of enforce here when the inside lane's going to have Stewart, Butler, and Mace. That's a hard inside lane to go up against right now. And it looks, oh, Stewart's picking the outside lane. Oh, that changes some things. Oh, McGee's in a good line then now.
Well, hold on a second.
Ooh.
Not so fast, my friend, as another announcer would say. The 4 picked the outside line last time as well. So we know the 4 can perform up there. This is the first time, however, that the 94 has had to perform on the bottom of the line there. So this is very interesting on many different levels. If you're the 94, do you try to go up and get on the bumper of the 4 immediately? Do you try to lead that low line? Right now, I'm thinking, if I'm the 94, I got to get back up to the top line, get the bumper of the 4, and really see what I can do to challenge him to ultimately win this race.
People are saying that Michael Sturgill's one absolute behemoth of a pusher and a support cast. Nate Stewart's hoping for that. First time we've seen the 4 and the 96 go separate directions here on this restart. Sean Butler behind Brendan McGee. See what they can do on the inside lane. Sturgill can flip those claims on the outside lane, second in line. Third row, it's Jack Mace and Andrew Cootie in row 3.
The tension continues to build as we slowly run through turns 3 and 4. When we get to the restart zone, the field will be in command of the number 4 machine belonging to Nate Stewart. He was a 2023 runner-up. He wants to win this race. He wants to prove he can be a Winstel Cup. He can be the Winstel 400 champion with only leading a handful of laps, 14 of 113, 15 when we get back to the start and finish line. The first racing Ford Mustang about to take that hard left turn down pit road, and now it is two drivers who have got close to victory, but haven't got there yet. Green flag hits the air, and now the 2 drivers who want this horse do battle.
Big checkup, huge crash. It's Martinez. And they scramble behind. Caution's out again.
Well, so much for that restart. The pace car didn't even get down all the way down pit road. It just pulled right back out and turned its lights on and said, "We're doing this one more time, guys."
Yeah, it's unfortunately, it looked like out of that incident, it looked like there was a huge tire spin further down in the pack here. We'll take a look at it here. Martinez got completely bullied on that one. He had nowhere to go. There's the 28 of Rob Collier once again. Oh, Matthew Molnar, you see the 29 car. 29 car got rolling again, but a lot of rear impact there on that 29 car. We're going to take another look. This is the entire restart in its entirety.
Yeah, as you watch them bunch up, get to going on the green flag, it starts really, the chain reaction starts around that yellow 22 and then just goes back through the field.
Jose
The
Salas,
88 getting into the side of Milad Radman.
Ooh.
The 20 going for the 07 going for a big spin. Check the 29 going for a big spin. Matthew Molnar, big hit. And I guarantee you, some of these guys are done as a result of that incident.
This is going to be a painful incident here. Matthew Molnar, all in the back of that car too. It's all rear end. Think about if this was the 7th gen car, how violent that crash would be on top of that. Huge crumple zones there in the Gen 6 allows this car to be able to roll off again.
That is still an incredible, just a very violent hit, no matter how you look at it. Kind of gives you perspective, though. on how dangerous motorsports can be, and a little bit grateful that this is virtual motorsports and that no lives are at risk, no equipment is at risk, nobody is suffering the damage, but that is still a very, very violent hit.
So here we are under caution. It's going to be Nate Stewart and Brendan McGee still at the front of the field.
And they'll have another chance here to restart it, which gives them both time to think. Both times gives them both an opportunity to kind of figure out, okay, what is my move? You know the 4 is going to go high. I do not foresee a situation where the 4 decides he's going to take the low line. I do not foresee that at all. So we know the 4 is going to go high. We know the 94 will be stuck on the low line. We know the 4 performs good on the high line. Can the 94, though, get the push from the low line? It looks like starting behind the 4, or the 94, check that, is going to be the, who is that? Is that the 95, I believe? 96 of Sean Butler? That's the 96 of Sean Butler that will start behind the 94. So now I'm thinking to myself, what can I do to get him to shove me as hard as he can to get in front of that 4 and take over that high side?
Well, I think we were gonna find out before. I think we're gonna have to find out here, because it's gonna line up pretty well similar to how it lined up before.
Several retirees will be out as a result of this, including the fan favorite, the number 99 of Milad Radman. He will ultimately be forced to park it, and that will be his night. His first attempt at the Winstel 400 ruined by that accident. I imagine a couple other drivers are out as well.
Jacob Potak, the 66, out of this race, is classified 43rd in this race. That is the only car remaining out of this race. Only 2 cars out, Potak and Radman. So 41 cars still running, 39 on the lead lap.
Light should come out this time by, and no surprises, the 4 will continue to run on the high side. The 94 forced down low, and then it'll be the 90 machine of Michael Sturgill going to be shoving the 94, the 96 of Sean Butler on the high side. So very interesting tandems to start this race. And again, you know, if you're 94 right now, if you are Brendan McGee, what are you doing on this restart?
Only thing you really can do, you gotta wait for the green flag to come out, and then you gotta hope that Sturgill and Mace are right there with you. The issue is that a lot of people that have been helping him are on the outside lane right now. It's not going to be great for him. He's going to have to work with some different people to get this going. But with everyone being able to sort of game plan on this restart here, he's just got to stay level with the 4 right now. If he can work that out, he'll be good. But it's so hard to actually figure it out, because this is the biggest part of the race that requires teamwork. You have to be team friendly here. Otherwise, you're not going to get anywhere. So with McGee, I don't think he's going to have any problems here working with Sturgill. He's got to hope that Sturgill and Mace are right there on it. And he's also got to hope that a caution doesn't come out immediately either, like what it did in this last restart.
I think at this point, allegiances are throwing out the window. You go with whoever's fastest. You go with whoever's got that fast car behind you, and you hope for the best. At this point, I don't think you're looking for friends. I think you're looking for the better driver who will take you through this field and help you get up front. The pace car once again primed to make the hard left turn down pit road. Let's see if it can make it all the way before we get the yellow flag out on the field one more time. Once again, the 4 of Stewart, the 94 of McGee, side by side, getting ready to go green flag racing. They will restart when the green hits the air, and all bets are off. Green flag racing with 44 left to go here in Daytona. Clean start through turns 1 and 2, now heading towards the backstretch. It is going to continue to be the 4 up in the lead, but now the 94 staying right beside him, staying in good pace with him. About 3 car lengths now between those 2 drivers. The 96, the 9, both giving a push. Now check out the 83. The 83 machine. That's Emily Howe. She's going to drop down to the low side and try to challenge the lead. 4 makes a good block.
Really good job there by Nate Stewart to get ahead of Emily Howe. Looking further back here, and it's side by side all the way through, and 3 wide further back. We're approaching the final 25% of this race, and this is where it gets important. I talked about you want to get to the last pit stop window. We're not quite there yet, but you're wanting to set yourself up and be in position to make things happen. That's where Stewart's at right now, and he is the prime example of mirror driving right now. He's looking, he's listening to his spotter. What lane's moving? What lane's got the advantage? Where's the momentum? And he's piggybacking off of all of it. He's working right now with Sean Butler. He's got Butler to the inside lane now, but he's keeping an eye on everything going on around him right now. He's looking at the back of that car. So important right now for him to just keep an eye on that rear view mirror. These are digital mirrors that we see in the next gen cars. They don't exist in the Gen 6 cars. These are the actual physical glass mirrors that we're so used to seeing for so long. So you've got 2 of them. You've got the one that this camera that we see on the left side is mounted on top of, and then you got the actual hard mirror in the center of a car. This is the rear view camera we have for the broadcast, and you see just how much Butler's pushing him right now. It is so important right now for the 4 car of Nate Stewart to keep that 96 car centered in that mirror. That 96 car's got to be dead center. If it's not dead center, you're going to have problems. There's that mirror right there. Obviously, we're at an angle, our camera's at an angle from that mirror, so we're not going to see what Stewart's seeing. Maybe if we can go to the helmet cam to see if we can see something from there for Stewart.
Doesn't matter, because Lowline's now trying to make a big move, and the 9 will make the move. Andrew Cootie in the number 9, followed by the 83 of Howe, the 94 McGee. They've all lined up. They said it's our turn, and they are going to the lead. The Marconi Speed Shop machine up front, taking the lead. Cootie up front, getting the push from Howe, getting the push from McGee, and the entire perspective of the race has changed.
Yeah, and you're seeing right here, this is a good example from Andrew Cootie's on board. Look at that mirror. Look how he's keeping Emily Howe center in that mirror. Emily Howe is drifting off a little bit to the right, but then coming right back centering. You want to still see that. Emily Howe approaching, gets center. Now Howe moves to the outside lane. That was very important. And Cootie followed in jumpsuit as well.
Meanwhile, those 2 drivers trying to keep the low line at bay. The number 90 of Michael Sturgill trying to make a run with the 07 of Jack Mace. So far, they're unable to make the move. Turns 3 and 4. Can they pick up some position? Can they get some position back? About 2.5 car lengths between the 90 and this driver right up here. As we got trouble out of track.
Everyone's keeping a point in the right direction, but that was almost disastrous further on down the pack. Take a look at it while we stay green flag racing. And what happens here? This is a really bad bump off of Philip Snipes. That's Colonix and Snipes. Both going wild.
Incredible save to keep that machine going and keep it going the right way as we continue green flag racing here in the Winstel 400. You see those drivers trying to bunch up in that middle lane. That middle lane not working very well. These guys are going to figure out how they want to go and who they want to go with as the 9 and the 83 continue to run on the high side. The high side getting a big run, about 6 car lengths now between your leader, and now here comes the number 4. He wants it bad enough. The question is, who wants it more?
That inside lane's got more help behind it, but Doucette went right back to the top. He was a big sway on getting those cars to move down to the bottom. He was the vocal one in getting those cars down to the bottom, and they went right back to the top. Stewart goes up in front of Cootie. Goes up and blocks him. Wow.
He might have
gotten to come back down if he wants to, but I think Butler's going to close that door.
At this juncture, everyone's just trying to react instead of be proactive. They're reacting. The problem with that is you make one false move, someone's going to spin you, someone's going to take you around, and that could cause a major incident for everybody out there. The 4 of Nate Stewart once again blocking both lanes. Comes up, comes down, returns. He is doing everything he can to stay up front No, but I imagine patience is going to run low for his shenanigans here real quick as the 9 all over the bumper of the 4.
He's making that back straightaway wide. He's making that bumper as wide as possible. There's some drivers that are really good at this reactionary blocking. Stewart's one of those drivers. Butler's one of those drivers. Cootie's one of those drivers. I've seen Cootie do it. Really, you look at the top 10. You look at McGee. You look at Howe. You look at the 03 of Crest. All of these drivers we know are good at being able to do this type of racing, of being reactionary, but also still being able to be proactive when they need to. Proactive is looking and reading the momentum. Reactionary is realizing the momentum's about to pass you by and cutting it off. Butler and Stewart are so good at doing both at the same time. It's just a shame that they're both at the front of the field right now, and it's about to be 3 wide. Cootie being abandoned on the outside lane.
Side drafting and getting aggressive, knowing they can take the air off each other and try to anchor them down in traffic. The 4, the 96, continuing to fight hammer and tong, tooth and nail around the front stretch. Give the advantage to the 4, but how long can he hold on? He's got 3 pushers behind him as they try to break away from that low line. The 4, the 83 and company, trying to make a big move, trying to get the 96 out of contention, but I just don't see that happening anytime soon.
Jack Mace very unhappy right now with the 90 and the 96 as they follow downwards here. Mace was trying to go forward. Sean Butler was not playing team games with the 07, and Sturgill didn't seem too keen on pushing Mace to make it a 3-wide situation either. Mace not happy. He's frustrated about it because now he's outside the top 5, and that outside lane is charging.
Outside lane charging hard as they can, trying to get as far away from that low line as they can and fight amongst themselves. Speaking of low line, it looks like we got a couple takers. The 83 of Howe, the 94 of McGee, they're going to go down low, bring some trucks with them, or bring some cars with them, check that. And now we've got a new leader, Emily McGee up front.
Very interesting moves here throughout this race here as we sort of watch as Stewart now becomes the one falling backwards. He's falling all the way back to the front of the 22 of Jose Salas Jr. McGee and Howe, they are working together in tandem. They've been working with each other for about a decade at this point, if not longer. What they did there as drivers, Howe trail braked behind Nate Stewart. Gave themselves a window to move and then began charging forward. Stewart thought he still had their support until they moved to the inside lane, but they had so much momentum, Stewart couldn't block it, and now they're at the front of the field. Stewart's been sort of played here a little bit, but now he's hooked up once again, now with Mace and with Butler, who moved to the outside lane. Kyle Hendricks going a lap down now will make it a 3-wide situation as everyone has to navigate that, but luckily, the only 3-wide situation is well beyond this lead group at the moment. Here we go, Melillo and Owens, 3 wide.
Great save there to keep them green flag racing and keep everybody moving in the right direction. Down low continues the 83 of Emily Howe. She is looking for her first Winstel 400 win, but a lot of hungry drivers behind him as everybody now opting for the low side. All of the main drivers opting to go low, opting to trail behind the 83 and wait for the 83 to make the same critical mistake that the 4 did, underestimating momentum and keep moving forward without breaking everything.
Now, this is the thing that's coming out. This is something I've been keeping an eye on. Green flag pit stops. We are in the window now. This will be the final round of pit stops if we can get it. Single file most of the way through here. No one has called pit stops just yet. So leaders have not done anything regarding pit stops yet, but they are setting up for it. We're waiting to hear if we hear about green flag pit stops. That is the magic number right now. We are in that range. They needed to get to 32 to go. They are there. No one coming in this time of the leaders. They stay out. I expect they will stay out for a little bit longer. Coming in here right now, we will show you sort of what drivers would be looking forward to as lap traffic will become a part of the factor here. Car on the outside lane, trying to stay out of the way and not be the factor here. But it's lap traffic now all over the place. There's Saucier in the 13 on the inside lane, forcing this lead group, the Serpentine, around the lap traffic. Looking there, you see what it's like to have to prepare for pit entry. Everyone having to fan out. You'll see a lot of fanning out here as they approach that pit entry. You have to get down to 60 miles an hour here. You see with the car on the right side, the one with the back, the HTL on the back. You've got to try to get to your pit box here. You're in the lead-in lane. Traffic will be very important to manage on pit lane, especially seeing how this will be the money stop of the race. But as you see there, it's very easy to show with 2 cars. It's pandemonium when you've got 43.
And that's the reason why nobody wants to throw their hand out the window just yet. Nobody wants to give the signal. They're all playing chicken with the gas tank right now. All of them waiting to see who's going to be the first one to brake. Who's going to be the first one to make that move and say, I'm coming down pit road. Now the question is, after that, after one breaks, who comes down after them? Who comes down with them? And who comes down next to them? I guarantee you that top 10 right now, all the low side, all waiting to take their stop, wait to see if a yellow flag's going to come out. They are all just daring each other to make that move, because as soon as one goes, the rest of it, everybody who wants to try to be a leader in this front group is going to go with them.
See, there's going to be 2 distinct groups here in this group, because the leaders came in on lap 105. So they're going to lap 137, 138. They're going to about 24, 23 laps to go. That's where their limit is. So they don't have to worry about moving right now, but they're setting up so they can come down and they don't have to worry about making that last second move to get down to the inside lane. They're already there. There's a second group of cars. That pit on lap 111 last. They're the ones that are going to be the safest of this group. We have 3 green-white checkered attempts. We've seen only one race of the past couple use more than one green-white checkered. But you want to have room in the gas tank for all 3 if you need it. That second group that's going to come in, that second group that is currently being led, if I look at my timing, it's scoring screen by Tyler Murray, Andrew Cootie, Andy Trupiano, and Corey Carpenter. They can go 5 laps longer. They can go into the last 20 laps of this race to make a pit stop here. So you're going to have 2 different trains of thought. It's going to split the field a little bit in terms of where that pit stop, where that fuel mileage is going to go. But expect the first round of pit stops, the first group of pit stops, to happen in about 3 laps.
Plus or minus 3 laps, that is the magic number. And again, it's a matter of who do I go down with? Who am I going to come down with? Who's going to help me out, get back on pace? And who am I going to race with when push comes to shove? Emily Howe currently in the lead, and I imagine there's going to be a lot of people trailing behind her, but not quite everybody. You're going to have some laggards try to stay out, hoping for the caution flag to come out, because again, as you saw in that video, it's not easy blowing these cars down from 200 miles an hour down to 60, as it looks like we got some takers.
And it's the leaders coming in. Getting slowed down all the way to 60 miles an hour. Remember, no one's done green flag pit stops in this race until now. I don't know how many of those cars made it. I honestly don't know how many of those cars made it to pit speed. Pit speed is 60 miles an hour. We're looking at the time for Emily Howe, because if she sped, then a lot of other drivers sped too. And that is a 2-tire stop.
2-tire stop, 12.1 seconds. She is down and away with everybody else. The 94 having some problems on pit road.
He did not get a speeding penalty. He crossed the grass. He was in the grass on that pit entry. He got an unsafe pit entry.
More takers down pit road. The 96. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, we see more cars coming down pit lane now, as we sort of see more cars coming in here. Right now, you're seeing that is Nate Stewart coming down pit lane now. They had a way cleaner pit entry. They could come back with the race lead here. This group we're looking at right now, right side of your screen. A couple cars with speeding penalties here.
So if you get a speeding penalty at this point, your race is over. Because you got to come back
Basically,
down pit road, serve the penalty, and yeah, your race is done.
No, they don't. So they don't come back down pit lane. They serve it there. It's a stop and go. It's a 26-second stop and go for speeding, and that is brutal. It's absolutely brutal. It's speeding on entry is the killer there. Speeding on the pit exit is even worse. It looks like it's all on the entry that drivers are getting dinged on right now. And now we're going to see a couple laps away from seeing the second group come down pit lane.
The second group, the two Chevrolets, led by Corey Carpenter and Brandon Cattell, nose to tail. The two machine of Alex Kolonix is in with them as well. So now it's a matter of when do they come down. Jose Solis Jr. also in that group. The 9 machine of Andrew Cootie, who was running on the outside when those guys came down. Smart move by him. He's going to have to now figure it out with this group as well.
Right now, they're going to go. They were expected to go 5 laps longer, so they're going to try to go until about 17 laps to go. Is what we're expecting their pit stops to be at the moment. And we're seeing some intermingling here. There's the 34 of Trupiano, the 9 of Cootie, and you're seeing that they're coming up here on some lap traffic here, trying to get around them. And that's threading the needle right there.
Threading the needle has 2 more now come down pit road. It'll be the 88 of Alec Martinez. I didn't catch the other number, but this group here, that's the 023 of Ben Bafford, also coming in this time around. 2 cars coming in. They're going to try to tandem their way up front. If you're that group right now, if you're running in that lead group right now, it's a risk. It is a challenge, but I think they're going to try to run it dry. They're going to try to do everything they can to stay out. Hope a caution comes out so they can bury the leaders in the back. Great backwards move, great backwards strategy. Let's see if it plays out.
Still a few drivers needing to make pit stops here. They hold control of the field. If a caution comes out now, it has been handed to them on a silver platter to determine it amongst themselves.
If a caution comes out now, everyone who's already pit is going to be in big trouble because they'll either be a lap down and get a wave by, or they'll be stuck in the middle of traffic. And we all know what happens when you get stuck in the middle of traffic. The leader's now coming along up to the 22 of Jose Solis. He's going to have to stay low as the leaders drive by him. That rolling chicane could create an issue if they try to make a pit road this time by. I don't think they are, though.
No, they're going to go for a couple more laps here. The idea is that they're going to try to go as far as possible, which would be about 17, 16 laps to go. The issue for them is that they're not going to give themselves a lot of time to make things happen here. The group behind them, this is the group with some wounded cars. The 60, the 10, 79, the 28, they're in pit lane now, so they came in a couple laps early. We're expecting the group that's left of your screen right now to stay out for at least another couple more laps, if not 3, to try to run this tank dry. Because then they can go off of just having one little tank of fuel, I guess. To explain how the pit stops work, the pit crews have 2 tanks that they swap out when they're doing fuel. Each tank holds about 8-9 gallons of fuel. So they, instead of having to take the full fuel service, they'll take half a fuel service and be even lighter on this last stanza. And that is an even shorter pit stop as well, because that goes from 7 seconds thereabouts to about 4 seconds.
The complexion of the race has changed, and right now it's in the hands of those 2 teammates, the 81 of Corey Carpenter, the 80 of Brandon Cattell. This is where experience and knowledge and wisdom pays off. On the left side of your screen, you're seeing the current leaders as they now come down pit road. They're fanning out to make the run. On the right side of your screen, the men and women who will be leaders, led by the 51 of Nick Doucette and the 83 of Emily Howe.
Yeah, this is big. This is a group that might be... Someone just got a penalty. Someone just got a penalty. One of the leaders in that group just got a penalty for speeding in pit lane.
And it might be, looks like Carpenter, who did come down the first. He's gonna, his race is over.
Yeah, it is Carpenter. It looks like the 80 does get through. Cattell got through with it without a penalty, but Carpenter got speeding on pit lane.
That is a heartbreaker. That's going to end the race for him. Meanwhile, back up front, the 51 re-inherits the lead with 16 to go. The 51 machine of Nick Doucette behind him. The 83 of Emily Howe behind them. The 31 of Dylan Roberts. 17 wins for Dylan Roberts. Can he make it 18?
Here. Keep an eye on the 34. The 34 was technically in the lead for a moment there. Spencer Owens is also not pit, and the 24 is on his own. He pit on lap 115. He's going to stay out as long as he possibly can here, and hope that a caution comes out now that the leaders are back together.
Now that the leaders are back together, it's a race of attrition. Who wants it more? Who wants it? Who wants to keep racing for it? And who wants it the worst? It is going to be now officially the 51 of Nick Doucette leading that high line, but a lot of drivers behind him we know can work the low line just as well. They're going to bide their time. They don't have a whole lot of time to bide, but they're going to bide it, waiting for that low line to come together and ultimately make a run, trying to get to the front and win this race.
Yeah, the 24 just does not have a lot of help there. Only got the 73 of Burnett and the 18 of Saucier really to work with there, whereas you got the giant group of cars right here coming up on the exit of turn 4. Owens leading laps, getting himself some pride points after being involved in so many incidents early in this race, but he will not make it to the finish without a pit stop here. He will have to peel off. It's a matter of when he peels off here. And looks like the group that's going to be inheriting the lead have already picked the lanes they're going to be in here. They've picked the outside lane and they are moving.
A train of 20 works a lot better than a train of 3. Unfortunately, you see that gap just dropping literally from 30 seconds down to 6 in a matter of 2 laps. That is how powerful that line is. That's how powerful the draft is, as now those 3 cars will come down pit road. They will drop the lead, and once again, with 13 left to go, it is decided amongst a crew of very skilled, very experienced drivers.
Come down to this. Less than 15 to go. Nick Doucette, Emily Howe, Dylan Roberts, top 3. Don't forget, Sean Butler and Logan Kress, the only 2 former winners of this race in the field, and in the top 5.
Don't forget the 45. Don't forget the 45 machine. Yeah. Parker Alexander, your pole sitter, also in that mix as well. We're riding on board with him as we see that line just continue to run nose to tail. Who's going to be the first one to drop down? Who's going to be the first one to challenge the 51 of Nick Doucette for this win? Doucette has 15 Winstel Cup Series wins. Dylan Roberts, the 31, has 17 Cup Series wins, and then in the middle of them is Emily Howe, who's still looking for her first Winstel 400 race win.
This is going to be very interesting here. So this is where the dichotomy comes in. There's some drivers we're familiar with in this field. Emily Howe is one of the drivers we're very familiar with. You look a little bit throughout this field, it's a 15 car party thereabouts. We've had a chance to really sort of evaluate and hear from Parker Alexander. He was in the booth yesterday. We had a chance to really see what Sean Butler and Logan Kress were about when they took on their duels. Whoever moves first can be the big breadwinner. Sean Butler looks like he wants to be the first to make something happen here. The issue is that if you jump first and someone jumps in front of you, they've taken your thunder. But it's got to be someone in the top 5 that makes a move here quickly. The question is when, and we're running out of laps here to make things happen. You see lap traffic. That's the 20 we're on board with at the moment. Just watching the leaders go by, wishing he was a part of it.
On the contrary, Carmen, if I'm in that line right now, yes, I'm waiting for the first guy to jump out because I don't want to be the first one to jump out. I want to use their draft, push them to the front, and force them to make some decisions on how to race the rest of this race. Everybody right now
is a car moving on the inside there a little bit. It looked like Butler was going to go for it, and he didn't. Him and Mace are trying to figure out when they want to go, I think. This is going to be very interesting. It's going to be, look at the 96, look at the 07, look at the 4, and look at the 94. One of those 4 will be the first to move, I think. They're the ones that are the most trigger happy in wanting to make that move. It's a matter of who is it going to be, and if they do move, are they going to have help? There's a lot of trying to barter. There's a lot of telepathy and trying to barter and trying to figure out who's going to make that move. I'm actually misidentified. It's not the 07 of Mace, it's the 03 of Crest, which is even more important there, because now you've got 2 former winners of this race trying to beat each other to the history punch, because both of them want to become a second-time winner. Burnett's going a lap down here. 4 drivers from the Winstel Cup Series lead the way. And then you have drivers that are very familiar with how to win this race. Right behind them, Winstel drivers that are only 11 in this race. 5 of them in the top 10. 6 of them in the top 10, including the 8 car.
So it all comes down to this. 51 of Nick Doucette leading a pack of, in the top 4 alone, over 30 wins combined between that entire group. These drivers are very experienced. These drivers know each other very well. You're playing chess now at 200 miles per hour. Who's going to make the move? Who's going to guess right? Who's going to guess wrong? And who's going to walk away with that $1,000 prize when push comes to shove? It's all on the line now with 8 to go.
And it's such a hard thing to figure out here. These are drivers that are at the top of their game. This is the race it is for a reason. This is everything for some of these drivers. This is their entire season. Here we go. Butler and Kress creating the run that we saw Emily Howe take the lead with. Earlier, taking it from Nate Stewart. Here they go. Trying to build that run. They're going to build momentum here, and do they go for it? They do not. Lap traffic in the way will be a deterrent. They're going to back away here. Now they're going to try it again. Kress is now hooked up. Kress. Here we go. Kress waiting for Stewart.
Single line, single file racing continues to go. 6 laps left in this field. And again, nobody wants to be the first to show their hand. Nobody wants to be the first to jump out of line and try to make it happen. Everybody's waiting for somebody else to make that move so they can jump along with them and force your first 2 leaders to do some blocking. Belillo going to get brave. He's going to come down with the help of the 26.
Oh, this is big. Melillo, and he did a lot of side drifting. There goes Butler, Kress, and Stewart to the inside.
Side by side through turns 3 and 4 at the line. Who's going to be the leader? Who's going to have more momentum? It looks like it'll continue to be the 51 of Nick Doucette. At the line, though, everything could change. You see them blaring right by. 2 car lengths for Nick Doucette, but the low line is picking up steam.
Yeah, Melillo was the one that pulled the trigger, and he was far enough back that it gave Butler, Kress, and Stewart the encouragement to do the same thing, but the outside lane has more help.
All 5 of those cars down low trying to push each other as hard as they can, trying to make that line move, but Doucette still has about 2.5 car lengths on the rest of the field. Emily Howe pushing him as hard as she can as he continues to lead. Now the low line's starting to pick up steam. They may get another help from another car. Still breaking up through into turns 1 and 2.
Here we go. Oh, this is going to be very interesting. Now my curiosity's peaked. Does Roberts and Alexander, do they tandem together and break down to the inside lane as well?
Leaders still up high. Leaders still high, thinking about what they want to do, how they want to try to tandem this. You see them starting to come together 2 by 2 by 2, all trying to make moves, all trying to figure out when they want to make that move, or if they want to go Maverick and try to win this race by themselves.
Coming to 3 laps to go. 7.5 miles to figure it out. Doucette continues to lead.
Outside line continuing to hold steam, continuing to hold pace. And 96 doing everything he can with those 5 cars down below him. And now we might have some more defectors. No, they're going to stay in line. They're going to stay in line for the popsicle sticks.
Oh, Butler and Kress are pushing a little bit too hard. Butler's a little bit too unstable. You saw him step out there on the back straightaway, and it's going to cost them more time. Oh, this is going to be very intense.
Through turn 4 with 2 more to go. Popsicle sticks fly, this time by the 96 leading the low lane. The 51 continuing to lead high. Only 2 more to go. Who wants it bad enough?
Do they make it back? They got to get to the white flag. If they get to the white flag, this race is official in regulation. That is a magical term right now. And that outside lane continues to charge forward.
Don't jinx it, Carmen. They continue to run down the backstretch. The 51's got a major lead with a lot of cars behind him. Now the 45 will defect.
Alexander and Mace, they go to the bottom. And they've got some momentum. Here they go. Coming to the white flag. This is it. White flag is in the air. 1 lap to go with the Winstel 400.
This race, next flag will end this race. The 45, the 51, side by side. Both lines having a lot of momentum and the same amount of cars on each side. Who wants it bad enough? We go to the backstretch. 45 turn. 45 goes around.
Oh, this is it. There's no cautions. This is it. They got to go for it. Oh, no. Can anyone build up momentum to challenge Nick Doucette?
The only driver that may be able to do it is that 83 of Howe. Howe all over the back bumper of the 51, going through turn number 4. The 51 blocking as best he can. Now the 83 goes high. It'll be a photo finish. Can the 51 finish it out at the line? The 83, I believe Emily Howe has done it. Emily Howe, after how many attempts, will take her first crown in the Winstel 400.
Oh my God. What a finish. Oh my goodness.
I don't have any words. Let's go back there in a second and take a look at that. But the 83, I think she just got pushed too hard. Now you see the 51 going to congratulate her on the win. I think she pushed him as hard as he could and gave him a little push out of the way to get that win.
So she actually pulls out of from behind him on the exit of turn 4. It's the 31 that gives Doucette a huge shove. You see it right here, right above. Emily goes to the outside lane. Doucette tried to block, couldn't do it. The 31's going to choose the 51 here and just tags him right there at the end.
Tags him a little too hard, as you see the 83 finally making the win and the 12th edition of the Winstel 400. Emily Howe, your winner here tonight at Daytona.
Wow. Holy cow.
I don't think Hollywood could have written a better finish to this race as Emily continues to celebrate down there in the turf. You couldn't ask for a better finish. You couldn't ask for a better finish for a better driver, someone who has given her heart and soul to the Winstel series, now finally getting her flowers. The flowers she has worked so hard to earn, the flowers she deserves. It's a storybook ending for what has been a storybook race.
First race between ABN and Winstel to start a new partnership. What a show. What a performance. What a weekend. Some of the best drivers in the world in this race. And that finish is why. That was absolutely incredible stuff. Green flag racing, green flag pit stop, strategy to the finish. And it's Emily Howe, race winner of the 2024 Winstel 400 in a last lap 500-yard pass at the end of this race to make it happen. My goodness.
Well,
33 laps led, but it doesn't seem like that way when you look at how much she was pushing McGee, Doucette, and everybody else.
We'll of course talk to your top three here in just a moment as they celebrate this big win. But let's just take a moment to appreciate the resume that that Emily Howe has built up in this series. 8 ABN Cup Series race wins. She won the season ender in the Winstel Cup, which was also at Daytona, and that experience played out to her advantage here tonight, as she will walk away the champion. She'll walk away with a trophy, and arguably more importantly, she'll walk away with the $1,000 check.
Absolutely phenomenal stuff here tonight. A huge purse on the line for tonight's race. Emily Howe, race winner. Nick Doucette second, Dylan Roberts in third place. We'll hear from all three of them as mentioned here a little bit ago. But holy cow, fantastic job. That was well worth it. What a weekend.
Take a moment to breathe. Take a moment there, Carmen, because this is a very special moment for ABN. This is a special moment for the Winstel series. There's a lot of people. Our chat celebrating the win as well. This just really, it's you couldn't ask for, again, you just couldn't ask for a better ending to such a special night.
Yeah, very popular race win as well. A lot of drivers already congratulating Emily on that run. Just absolutely incredible stuff here all weekend long. And she didn't have a chance to practice with this group this weekend. She was not a part of the duels. She was not a part of qualifying. She didn't have a chance to develop the strategies that everyone else did this weekend leading into this race. It was all on the fly for that 83 car tonight. And what a job. What an absolute job that Emily Howe produced here. What a way to kick off the partnership with Winstel. Obviously, we still have the Winstel Cup Series season beginning in March, and we get to see all of this all over again for 24 weeks beginning in March. This is going to be so special and so exciting. Emily Howe finally, on the 12th run, gets a Winstel 400 race win. Can it be more sweet? Can it be more special? A race winner at Daytona.
What a way to start the Winstel series here on ABN than to have, again, this incredible finish among some of the best drivers in all of iRacing.
Historic. Absolutely historic here. We'll hear from our first female winner of the Winstel 400 here in just a moment. Letting everyone catch their breaths here. We'll start with Emily Howe. We'll start with the race winner, and we'll work our way down the podium order here. Emily Howe, race winner in Daytona. Emily, this is Carmen and Joe in the ABN booth. You got a copy?
Hello, hello.
What a night. What a drive. Race winner of the Winstel 400. Coming in with very little practice compared to everyone else this weekend. Filling out process, you figured out who you wanted to work with, and what a move. Textbook move on the last lap. Walk us through it.
Just that whole race, I mean, it was what we talked about earlier in the weekend. Just I did not want to be in the back for any reason. I think the lowest I was all day was 12th. Just never wanted to be back there. Always wanted to be leading laps, and I mean, I didn't probably lead the most laps, but I definitely was trying to either be first or second for as much as I possibly could. I felt like I had a really good bumper there. I was doing a really good job of pushing. I probably was the best pusher in the field. So just an incredible race all around. I got to thank everybody who worked with me, Nick, Parker, all the guys, Brennan, everybody. Oh my God, I can't believe I did that. I just, every year we get close. Every year it's the year, and then, I just feel like this was such a dominant performance by our whole group. I want to thank everybody for that.
Obviously, what a moment for you. Obviously, you've worked so hard in Winstel with this event. Obviously, this is, I think, the 4th or 5th year you've been helping sponsor this event. And you talk about how close you've been and how it's supposed to be your year, and it gets kicked down the road. That final stanza of laps there, where it became you versus Doucette versus Roberts, where it was mostly Winstel drivers there at the end, where they're in a year where there's been fewer Winstel drivers than ever. How was that feeling, knowing that you were going up against people that you've gone up against for years now, and it was going to be between one of you 4 or 5 drivers at the end?
I was just so glad that it came down to a green flag finish, right? Like I didn't want it to come down to a green white checkered like it does most years, and where it's just that chaos of the restart and all that stuff that goes on there. So to have it come down to just a full green flag lap at the or green flag run at the end, I think it was about 40 laps of a green flag run there, and knowing that when we made that call of 25 to go to pit, that it was going to be the make or break point of the race. I hated to see Brennan get a speeding penalty. It really hurt him. But we executed really well and got the lead after the pit cycle and just really used everything that we knew, all of our teamwork and our knowledge and our skill at, managing the temperatures and pushing every lap that we could and to really just control it. And man, I want to thank everybody who's up there, all the FTF guys, Butler, McAdams, all those guys, Colin X, Logan Kress, all those guys, Hayes Cattell and his teammates. Just what a race from start to finish. I mean, I know it got a little bit dirty in the middle part, but from the lap 0 to 80 to about the last 40 laps, just an absolute thriller.
It was absolutely fantastic, and obviously, what a way to kick off the year. You still got the 24 Hours of Daytona, and then you got the Winstel season coming up in March. How does this feel to kick off the year with, and arguably, one of the biggest wins you could possibly get?
It's great. I mean, this is a crown jewel of iRacing events, right? Like, the FTF 500, the Firecracker 400, the Winstel 400, all these events throughout the year are just such huge, huge accomplishments, and so many people and so much talent goes into them. And just to have my name on that record and to have such just a dominating performance, I felt like, it wasn't a fluke win this time. I was up there the entire race, and I really showed that I belong up here with some of the elites. So, absolutely thrilling. I cannot believe that this just happened.
You did an absolutely phenomenal job, Emily. Congratulations on a historic win here at the Winstel 400 at Daytona. Before we let you go and let you celebrate with your team and obviously celebrate an amazing accomplishment, if there's anyone to shout out and say thank you to, the floor is yours. Congratulations. It was an absolute honor to be able to watch this race and to see the 83 car move through the field. But the floor is yours. Take it away.
I just want to thank everybody all the fans who tuned in and watched. You guys got an excellent show. I want to thank everybody, ABN who puts this all together. Great showing all weekend. Great job from the booth to the cameras to everybody involved and everybody at Winstel, Brandon Cruz DFS, putting this together, and Brendan McGee and all the folks there for organizing this for all 12 years, and for everything that Christian Budd and then Lou for putting together a fantastic season for 2004. It's going to be an excellent season. If you haven't signed up already, sign up. It's going to be a great time. With the new Oval Refresh, we're going to be racing harder and stronger than ever. Cannot wait to see everybody come March.
Absolutely. You can't have a much better advertisement for the Winstel Cup Series season in March than this. Emily, enjoy the race win. I know you're going to be celebrating it. Obviously, celebrating it with your team. Obviously, with E83 Flying Machines on board there. Enjoy the race win, and obviously, we'll be seeing you again very soon.
Awesome. Thank you.
That was Emily Howell, race winner here in the Winstel 400. We have a couple more interviews to do. We'll talk to Nick Doucette, the driver on the unfortunate other side of the finish here at Daytona, still finishing second place. Knew it was between him and Emily Howell. We'll hear what he has to say about this race.
Nick Doucette now joining us. We're from the booth. He's down trackside. And Nick, all I want to know is, what are you feeling right now?
I couldn't be any more proud of the entire Winstel group there at the end of the race. I'm going to probably stumble over a bunch of words because I still haven't calmed down. I've been doing these events every single year since 2017, and this is the first time since 2017 that I've had an opportunity to win this race coming off of turn 4. Back then, I was leading the outside line, and I got hooked coming out of 4. I could see the checkered flag; it was mine, and I got wrecked. And ever since then, I just haven't seen the checkered flag since then. And it feels great to participate in these every single year. They're so well put on, such great racing. It's always fun to race with your friends and everything, and to have a plan work out the way it did tonight. It was just an amazing event.
Walk us through those last 2 laps. You did everything you could to block and try to stop Emily Howe from taking this win away from you. What was going through your head? What was your plan as those last 2 laps unfolded?
Well, myself, Emily, Dylan, Parker, and Brennan unfortunately sped in that final pit stop, but we all had an agreement that it was our year. It was Winstel's year to win this event. So we basically agreed that last lap, as soon as we knew one of us could guarantee the win, that it was all for ourselves. And I knew that I probably wasn't going to win the race. I felt a little more confident when Parker made the move to block. I believe it was the most of the FTF gang, and so then we could kind of control both of the lanes. And having a great pusher with Emily behind me, I knew that she would give me the run that I needed to have that opportunity come into the checkered flag. But unfortunately, Parker got hooked and turned off a turn 2, so that left just the most of us with Emily and Dylan behind me. And at that point, I can't block the whole racetrack. I tried what I thought was the best move for myself. Maybe wasn't the best move. Maybe I should have stayed running the wall up in 3 and 4, so I could have side drafted Emily myself. But I brought it down low, ran 3 and 4, and then Emily pulled the slingshot on me, which I was fully expecting. At that point, I was just trying not to get side drafted, and then Dylan gave me a huge shove to try to give me the advantage coming to the line, and it still wasn't enough. But I can't blame anyone there. We had a plan. We wanted one of us to win the event, and it ended up with us being 1, 2, 3. So there's nothing to be upset about especially in the whole Winstel community tonight.
Nick, with your second place finish tonight, you finished ahead of of some of the biggest names in iRacing. You finished above people who work for the company. You finished above teams supported by former eNASCAR Coke Series drivers. You've had this incredible finish. What is it, aside from Winstel getting the 1, 2, 3? What does this personal achievement mean to you?
It's up there with my achievements. I mean, I've ran with these guys a lot. Every single year they keep coming back. I think that's probably just this event puts on such a great show for our fans and for our drivers that I just think that it brings out the best of the best in iRacing, and they keep coming back to basically show that this is an amazing service and a great event that's put on. So it's definitely a big accomplishment to finish ahead of these guys. But I feel like we all have like this respect for one. Well, I say that. I mean, things do get heated, but we have like a general respect for each other, and we all know everyone's strengths and weaknesses as drivers, whether it's being a pusher or a pushy and everything. So it's you kind of just go with who you work the best with and hope for the best. But no, it's quite an accomplishment to be able to run with the best in the service and say that you beat them.
Final question before I let you go. Let you go and celebrate with the rest of the Winstel crew. Winstel crew. Winstel series starts in March. How do you take this? How do you keep the momentum going into the new year?
Well, can't really use much of the same strategies as used in this race for our season opener at Daytona. Completely different draft package, completely different cars. But my strategy is usually always at these plate races to stay at the front. I always find if you're in the top 5, you're usually safe, and I'm going to do the same thing in our season opener at Daytona here in a couple of weeks, and try to use this momentum from this event uh, to kind of help me out throughout the entire season.
Who makes it work for you, Nick?
Well, I got the whole Winstel gang behind me that I've probably shouted out about 20 times during this interview. So I got to thank them all again. I'm not going to name them one by one because I'll forget someone and then I'll feel awful. One person that I will shout out, though, is my spotter, Ryan Kame. He was an amazing spotter and had some great words of encouragement for me tonight. I tried to get him in the race during that last chance qualifier. We planned it perfectly. We had it just how we wanted it to work, and we still fell short with that incident that off of 4 coming to the line. So I have to really give him a shout out for spotting for me tonight and giving me some good words of encouragement. And I'm gonna shout out you guys as well because you guys have come on to broadcast us for this event and for our Winstel season. So hopefully this was a good showing as to what we can put on for our viewers, and hopefully we can continue that for the rest of the year.
Driver the number 51 Energizer Chevrolet, Nick Doucette finishing second. Nick, thanks so much for joining us. I believe Carmen's caught up with Dylan Roberts, who finished third.
Dylan, this is Carmen from the ABN booth. You get a copy.
Yes, I do.
What a night! What a drive! You had the front row seat of the house for that last set of laps here. Walk us through it on your end. Obviously, you had to pick a lane to be on here. Obviously, you've chose the inside lane to try to help out Nick Doucette there. Walk us through it there on your end, because you're sitting pretty, just trying to figure out who's going to make a move. What's running through your head in those last few laps?
Yeah, I was starting to think I wasn't going to have any sort of chance for myself. Nick and Emily were talking a lot about how we were working together. We had our plan. We wanted to get Winstel into victory lane. And, we're race car drivers, virtually, but, the mindset's still the same. So obviously in the back of my head, I'm thinking, how can I win this? How can I get us the win? But how can I be the one that wins it? And I thought I lost it. The inside line had a huge run into one. It looked like I was just going to kind of be trapped. And, I was happy with that. You want to win, but you take what you can get. And then, unfortunately, Parker got hooked down there. They fell back, and all of a sudden, it's really three of us with nobody else really going to be having a run before the checkered. So I was really hoping that they would get too aggressive with the side draft, pull themselves back. I kind of lost the run down the backstretch. I saw Brennan coming in the mirror. I said, "Oh, Brennan, please give me a push. Give me the momentum, give me a chance." And to his credit, huge push. He gave me a huge run off of 4, and I was hoping those two were going to get a little bit more aggressive with the side drafts, like I said, and hoping maybe Nick would push Emily up the track a little bit. So I kind of committed low for too long. Looking back at it, I had the high side open. I might have had a chance, but from that point, low side closes. My only option is push Nick, make sure one of us gets it, and I turned him. Emily got it. Either way, I'm ecstatic, and I'm so happy for Emily to get it. I mean, she's been around this event for so long. She puts in so much time. She builds these setups. She puts in the money for the prize. She's always just such a positive influence on Winstel, and I mean, I can't see there being many people that have had a negative interaction with her. She's just always such a breath of fresh air, and it's awesome to see her win this. She's been trying for so long.
Yeah, obviously a very special night, and obviously a very special race here tonight. Obviously a huge effort and a phenomenal job for you, coming from 15th to finish 3rd here tonight. Obviously, up next now is the Winstel Cup Series season, as that begins in March. Just a little bit of time to get ready for that. How do you carry some of this momentum into that season? Because up next is more Daytona when we start off that season.
Yeah, I'm hoping my luck holds. I had a lot of luck go my way tonight. Couple bad draws with lanes on restarts, getting shuffled, but the car stayed clean all night, so that's all I want to do. I want to keep the car clean, try to stay up front in the season opener, and keep that momentum going through the season. I was snake bitten on those plate tracks last year, so looking to turn that around.
Well, it's going to be a phenomenal job seeing that 31. Obviously, seeing you in the 31 car tonight, doing a fantastic job. A great throwback scheme as well, suiting Kevin how the race and under the lights there. Before we let you go, though, and let you celebrate not only the podium, but get ready for the season at hand. If there's anyone to shout and say thank you to, the floor is yours. You did a phenomenal job tonight, and a lot to be proud of here for the 31 crew.
Thank you so much. Yeah, huge shout out to everybody at Winstel, Brennan McGee, Christian Budd. I'm not gonna list everybody. I'm gonna forget people. It's a huge list. Huge shout out to Emily Howe, Nick Doucette, Parker Alexander. Parker made my paint scheme as well. We were all working together all night. Alex Bates, Jose Solis. We had a huge pack of us together that we were trying to make the night better for each other, and it's fantastic to see that. Huge shout out to you guys for the broadcast, and I mean anybody that's tuned in this whole time and still watching, huge shout out to you. It's awesome to be able to put on some racing for you guys, and hope you stick around and come back for the season.
Absolutely a fantastic job there, Dylan Roberts. 3rd place finish tonight, a podium finish for the 12th annual Winstel 400, with the Winstel Cup Series season beginning in early March. Dylan, enjoy the podium, and we'll be seeing you again very soon.
Thank you so much. You have a good one.
Thank you. You as well.
And that does it. We have wrapped up another incredible Winstel 400. Once again, congratulations to Emily Howe on her incredible win. Let's go ahead and take you down the results real quick. Let's show you where all of your favorite drivers finished up. Emily Howe finishing, of course, with the win, starting from position number 12. Nick Doucette from position number 8, second. Dylan Roberts rounding out the top 3. Michael Sturgill, Jack Mace rounding out your top 5. Logan Crescent 6th. Kevin McAdams 7th. Alec Martinez, your pole sitter, in 8th. Ben Bafford in 9th. And Alex Kolonix rounding out your top 10.
Nate Stewart Was so close. Was a threat all night long. Ended up just 11th place here later on in the evening. It's not where he wanted to be, but overall, I think he's going to be taking that there. Looking a little bit further down the order here, you look at 12th place, which was Brandon Cattell. He was in 12th place there. 13th, Austin Reedy. Mo Perry in 14th place. A good recovery for him because he was involved in a lot of incidents early on. Same with Andy Chupiano, a 15th place finish for him. Justin Malillo in 16th place ahead of Parker Alexander, our pole sitter. Ignore the fact that he qualified 7th in the actual race. He started on pole, having qualified there at the on Friday. Alex Bates in 18th, Christian Budd 19th, Corey Cook rounding out the top 20 there. Some big gains throughout this field. Trupiano from 34th to 15th. Corey Cook gaining 15 spots there in this field. You look a bit further down there, Craig Lautenschlager in 24th behind Tyler Murray, Philip Snipes, and Andrew Cootie from 40th to 24th. A great job for all of those drivers to survive this race and to finish on the lead lap. That's not easy to do in a 160 lap race when the last quarter of the race went completely caution-free.
Absolutely not. What an incredible way to finish this race. Where are we? About 30th?
We're 25th. Rob Collier.
25th. Thank you. I was sorry. I was just. That's what happens after a 3-hour race. You look at your Twitter and you don't pay attention. Jackson Simpson, 26th. Jeremy Davis, 27th. Spencer Owens from 41st to 28th tonight. Tristan Baker rounding out the 29th. And Sean Butler rounding out 30th. Brendan McGee, 31st. Miles Davis, 33rd. We're missing 31 there somehow. And
missing Jose Salas. You got
Jose Salas. Sneaking under the radar there and getting out of our graphic, but he'll finish 31. Quentin Clark and Matthew Molnar rounding out the top 35. Take us home, Carmen.
Corey Carpenter, a bad result for him for the 81 car. Speeding on pit lane is what put him off the lead lap there and ended his run for the race win. Was dominating this race at one point early on in this race in 36th position. 37th, Kyle Benson is where he'll finish after starting in 20th place. Not a great run for him. Had to race his way in this afternoon in the last chance qualifier, but not what he was looking forward to here. There's Jose in 31st. We see him there, a little bit of an alteration there in the rundown. Kyle Hendricks in 38th, his first appearance in the Winstel 400. Did not go the way he wanted to, but he mixed it up near the front of the field, led a couple laps. Not a bad run for him after starting dead last in this field. Josh Burnett and Bryce Sosi are rounding out the top 40. Bernard Person taken out early. Malato Radman in the 42nd position, not where he wanted to be after starting this race in 5th. He had a really good run for him to kick off the race, but unfortunately Radman ended up 42nd. 43rd, Jacob Potak in the 66 machine. The first retirement of this race, William Boisvert was the alternate on standby in case they needed him, but all 43 of the scheduled starters took part, so Boisvert would step back sideways and would be classified as a non-starter in this race. It's Emily Howell's night. Winner at Daytona. The Winstel 400 belongs to Team 83 and E83 Flying Machines. We appreciate everyone being with us here for an amazing weekend of racing, whether you're here with us Friday for Winstel 400 qualifying in the HTL National Series, or last night when you joined us for the duels at Daytona, sponsored by E83 Flying Machines, or tonight from pre-race to the main event coverage. A historic night for us here on ABN and for Winstel here at Daytona. It's Emily Howell's night. Winner at Daytona. With coverage tomorrow. Darlington Week begins with the HTL Cup Series. Thank you all so much. On behalf of my co-commentator for the first time this season, Joe Cortez, welcome to the ABN family. On behalf of the producer behind the scenes, Kristina Ryan, I'm Carmen Sienna. Thank you all so much. Stay safe, stay healthy, have some fun. We'll see you tomorrow night at Darlington. Until then, so long, everybody.